You guys ready?
Yeah.
You guys ready to go? Yep, you guys ready? Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight. Hello. Good. Yeah, good evening. Would everybody please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, thank you.
Mayor Moore?
Here.
Vice Mayor Lund?
Here.
Councilmember Edge?
Here.
Councilmember Cosio?
Here.
Councilmember Box?
Here. Okay, item number 2, public comments on items that are not on tonight's agenda. If anybody in the public would like to speak to the council, you have up to 3 minutes to do so. We cannot take any action, but we can listen to your comments and proceed. Do I have anybody in the council who would like? Please step up and state your name, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Gabriella Candelaria. I'm just making a brief public comment today in regards to the fire that happened at 205 the Alameda a week and a half ago. I saw the notice on the action that the city was taking to have that property dealt with, and I just want to say that as somebody who lived in that neighborhood for some time, I'm glad to see that that action is happening. I, for a number of years, lived just adjacent to the little yellow house next to that property, and it's been a safety concern for many years, and as somebody who's lived there, I can speak firsthand about how real some of the dangers are that exist in that little kind of area of the town. And so I just want to say that I'll be keeping abreast with what's going on and making sure just on the neighborhood side of things that everything gets followed up on, and I'm looking forward to seeing progress happen at the gateway to our town right there. So.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Come on, just state your name. We know who you are, but you know, for the record.
I'm Patricia Baines, and I own Mrs. BZ Place at 306 3rd Street. And several months ago, the trash receptacles and the recycle containers were moved. I thought they were being refurbished. However, they have not been replaced, and I've asked questions as to why. And I was told that it was because people were bringing trash from home and putting it in there. And so I felt that it should penalize the people who were bringing the trash from home. This is causing people to bring their trash to my store. When I come in the morning, there are garbage, cans, cups, old food wrappers on my bench and my doorway. And those, when I'm open, they just bring it in and hand it to me. And I say that the receptacle is across the street and down. But we need to have garbage cans because people come with their dogs and their pooper, scooper stuff. They put them in the planter boxes. They leave them by the buildings. And it's just not a healthy situation. I don't want people's trash in my store. So if you could really do something to help, it's been almost a year since I've been asking for this help. And I was told that the city is planning to take all of the cans away. So we need help. The merchants don't need to be cleaning for the city.
Thank you. Roger, maybe you can just handle this. I don't think the council, I think it's a problem that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Walking at night, there's cans on the other side, there's no cans on this side, and I think it's an easy fix, you know.
I think
and we need to police it from our end, not their end.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Trash enclosures for the merchants are well intended, and we want to facilitate that. It's the residents that live up above these units. They don't subscribe to garbage, and they throw all of their stuff into it. And so
Well, maybe, I don't want to go on to, maybe that can be our problem and not the business's problem, because the cans are on the one side, but they're not on this side, but let's put some out there and let's see if we can, and follow up with the complaint.
Mandatory garbage service.
It's a mandatory garbage service, and I think we've approached the garbage company, and I says, why don't you go and force them to have it? And they says, well, that's not our responsibility. So, and we're not in the garbage company business, we make sure that they got sewer and water accounts. So a lot of them up there do not have garbage service, and they come down and they just use the public trash receptacles.
Yeah, and I understand that's the case, but there's not just one location where we need another trash can. We need more trash cans downtown, and if we have to somehow police those trash cans, if you want the neighborhood watch people to try to keep an eye out and figure out who's putting their trash in it, we'll be happy to assist with that, but we need to get more trash cans downtown.
Roger, I think you got direction from the council without going into all craziness, but if you can get that done. Is there anybody else that would like to address the...
Eric Redisoff.
My name is Eric Redisoff. I live at 1108 3rd Street. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I would like to invite all current and potential City Council members to drive by the former preschool site at 1112 3rd Street. As you may know, the preschool has not been operated since June of 2013. Since approximately October of 2013, the structure on the site has been under a remodeling project. With that, several items on this piece of land have raised concern. First, I'd like to point out that a front wall has been constructed. It is of a solid stucco construction. The main wall stands 3 feet tall. However, there are over 20 solid cinder block pillars that stand almost 4 feet tall across the property. This property appears to be 2 individual parcels at this time. There is also a wall that has been constructed, again of solid stucco construction, that stands an estimated 7 feet tall in front to separate the 2 parcels. This wall does not match any of the surrounding homes in the area. My adjacent property has a traditional white picket fence that presumably had to go through design review when first built. There are several properties on the Creek Bridge property site that also had traditional white picket fences built, and also presumably had to get approval when they were built. I would also surmise that the D'Ambrosio project homes will also follow a similar white picket fence allowance when they are constructed. This wall will not look like any of the other designs in the adjacent properties. I have been told that since this property is a remodel and not new construction, there need not be a review by the Planning Commission. City staff can approve the item. I would question that if there were no pre-existing wall constructed, that perhaps at least an informal review by the Planning Department, by the Planning Commission may have been warranted. The 2 walls give the property a compound feel. My next concern is that the entire piece of land will be coming to the Planning Commission, and if passed, onto the City Council for approval to divide into 3 separate properties. This also concerns me. First, even with each plot being over 7,000 square feet, the shape of the properties will make for some interesting home placement. Of course, I, my rear neighbor, and the neighbor at the corner of Donner and 3rd have the most to lose. Our view would be compromised. More so than the current more so than the out-of-place walls. Second, with the elevation difference, I would probably have a bird's eye view of the interior of the residence. Not something any potential builder or neighbor would want. Again, I'm coming to you now so that you can take the time to drive by and perhaps get out and take a look at the current wall. I'm not sure if there is anything that can be done at this point or not, but perhaps a review of how this situation came about and how to solve it in the future may be in order. And as far as the potential subdivision of this property, I would ask that it be given extra thought as to how this property would be finished and its impact on the surrounding neighbors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and address the council? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Before we move on, we have a couple items that we're going to pull tonight.
Andy, I just have one question for Roger.
Okay.
Roger, if that parcel gets divided, does that change all review as a remodel?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it would be
Subject to the design review.
design review if it does get split.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joy.
The 3-foot wall, though, that wouldn't be subject to review in any case because it meets our current
Yeah.
standards, right?
Yeah.
But how about the 4-foot in between?
Yeah.
Is that allowed
We'll
on
go
the
measure
3-foot?
those out. Generally on the posts that go for a picket fence, we allow about a 4-inch variation. So in a 3-foot, they can go up to about 3/4.
Even though the posts
Yeah.
are yay big?
Yeah.
Because I have looked at it already.
Yeah. We'll look into it.
Okay, before we move on, there's 2 items in the upcoming agenda tonight that we're going to pull, and that's item 5A, 1 and 2. That's the the gas station. It's going to be continued until November. So that's going to, I'm going to need a motion and a second on that to pull that. And the other one is the abatement on the Alameda, and that was due to, we didn't have proper notice, but we are still going through the process to take
For
legal
6E?
action.
For 6E?
Yeah, the 6E. So I need a motion to pull 5A, 1 and 2, and item 6E, or continue it. We'll continue it. To November's meeting, right, Roger?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to pull those items for postponement to the 11th.
Continue. We're going to
For
continue.
continuance to the next meeting.
Second.
Okay, I'll
Okay,
discuss.
but on
Go ahead.
6E, we don't have to continue it that long. It was only a 10-day hearing.
Unless
Do
we
we
come
want to
back,
consider a special meeting to
That-
deal with
that-
that property? Because it
that's
has
fine
been
with
a
me.
problem for a
That's
long
what they're
time.
talking now, but.
That's fine. Roger, legal
The
counsel.
6E requires a 10-day notice.
Okay, so when can we come back?
And
So it'd have to be the following
if we
Friday.
notice it tomorrow, then the earliest you could be would be November the 3rd.
That's fine. We can come back on a Monday. I don't, if the,
November the 3rd is a Monday?
yeah.
Monday, yeah.
oh,
You're not very happy with that one?
well,
It would be a short meeting, I imagine.
that was a date I had out.
Huh?
I was on vacation for that date.
And the 4th also?
Yeah.
4th is election day.
Election
and
day, anyway,
And
yeah.
the 5th is planning commission.
I'll be coming back that morning, so the 4th could work, but the election is
How about
probably
the 3rd? I mean, for everybody else?
Oh, yeah, we just need a quorum, I suppose.
Rick, we'd
We
be
don't
all
want to
right the
interfere
3rd?
with your vacation.
Okay, let's do this, Tony, the 3rd. It'd be at 6 o'clock. That'd be a Monday, short meeting. And if you can make it, you know.
If I can, yeah, if I
Because
get
they
back in
want to
time.
get this thing moved on. So.
I'm just not sure what time Monday I'll
Okay.
be back.
So let's do this. Let's take, let's start, we'll do 2 here. We're gonna, Well,
You made a motion.
Yeah,
You can
there was a
amend the
and a
motion.
second.
you want to amend the...
I'll recall and amend the motion that we pull items 5, was it 5, 1, and 2? 5A, 1 and, A1 and 2. Okay, that we postpone that one and pull 6E for November 3rd special meeting.
And then also, you want to, Trish, the appeal, put that on the November's calendar.
That would be November 18th.
November 18th. Bring it back then. So we got that down right? Okay, we got a first and a second. That's from Rick.
So
Oh, so the appeal won't be until our next meeting, but November 3rd would be...
Will be the abatement.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Call vote. Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Councilmember Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously, 5-0.
Okay, item number 3, the consent items.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
don't we also need to continue 5B and 6C?
5B,
Yeah, 5B.
we're going to take that tonight. Roger, the sign?
It's up to the council.
Well,
You can-
do you have a...
it's-
Is there a reason to continue 5C?
Yeah,
B?
the city attorney sent us an email that said he hadn't had a chance to read the current
I thought he did.
version of the ordinance. He was involved in it early on, but not currently.
Yeah,
So,
it's up to legal counsel. I know that I had Roger before the meeting. He said we could hear it, but that's up to whatever.
I believe if I read his email correctly, he said it was okay because this is just the first reading of it, and we would be able to make modifications if necessary, is that correct, before the actual
Yeah.
adoption?
I
That's the
think
case, but then you'd have to bring it for another reading.
another reading.
Oh,
so
you would?
It would probably be better is it to continue this and then we'll
Okay.
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, and
Okay.
again, on 6C, we had originally said we were going to do that in November,
Okay.
and Linda McIntyre was going to speak against it, and she's not prepared to come tonight,
You
so
know-
we have 2 reasons to continue that one.
You can do that, but I think
No, it's a this is a
Pro-
Prop
the
13.
Prop 13, but is
Yeah.
there anybody here that's here for the Prop 13? Okay, just Dave.
You said
We-
C?
Yeah, we said at last month's meeting.
You want to go?
Yeah, we'll go to the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, we said at last meeting
Okay.
that we were going to
that's fine.
move it to
Okay,
November.
so you want to make a, we'll move
Yeah,
those?
so I'd like to make a motion that we continue 5B and 6C to the November meeting.
I need a,
Second?
any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Cosio, Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Lund,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
all members of the
used to
council
say
being
vice
present, the
mayor.
motion is stated by the maker,
No,
passes
yeah.
unanimously 5-0.
Okay, here we go. Item number 3, consent items, A through H. Any questions or any comments regarding those items?
I'd like to pull, what is it, 3D? Yeah,
Or
3D.
Is that the one for the July minutes?
September.
So- But what
It's
was
the
one?
first one of the 3 that
Okay.
comes up. That's the only one I want to pull.
Anybody else?
No, just that one?
Okay, then I guess I'll take a motion for items 3A, B, C, E, F, G, and H.
So moved.
Okay, what, Edgar got a first? Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, Jolene, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker, passes unanimously 5-0.
Okay, 3D, approved minutes for September 16, 2014, right?
Yeah, yeah, D. I did say D, didn't I? Okay, the last page, item 7D, right at the top, is incomplete. I think they're just rough notes and needed to be kind of fleshed out. So I don't know if we need to resubmit next time. Probably do.
Unless Matt has a very concise way of stating what it says he stated and it's not there. Do you see where we mean?
That was a one-page report, as I recall.
I know,
or
I just thought
argument or
maybe,
whatever.
since he did the report, maybe he could give us a real concise one-liner on it, and we could just put it in. It's up to council if it's actually up to Matt first.
Well,
He's shaking his head, so I guess that's a no.
Might be easier just to continue
Yeah.
it.
Continue
one more
it,
month.
yeah.
You want to continue it?
I just like putting Matt on the spot, that's
She
all.
can get his report from him and...
You want to make a motion to continue?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we continue 3D to the November meeting.
Okay. A second?
A second?
Tony? Okay, a roll call vote, please, to continue it.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker, passes unanimously 5-0.
Okay, moving on. Presentation, informational items, and reports. 4A, monthly financial statement, treasury report. I don't see Chuck, but Roger, you want to?
Yeah, basically, the summary here from the general fund, there was a negative $73,000. That was primarily some of the funds that we had to spend, on the workman comp, and you'll see it on the warrants list there. And then coming from the Wells Fargo, there was several big payments that occurred back to back, and we held off on them, and then all of a sudden there was quite a few expenditures that came up this month, you know. The enterprise fund, it shows a little bit less profit, but still is a positive. And the overall cash flow has a negative 192, and is largely from that $440,000 payment for the COP loan. Okay. Cash balance is unrestricted with a service of $791,000 reserved for debt service, depreciation. General fund revenue was higher than budgeted by $10,000 at 186. But the expenditures were a little bit more at 260, and they were more than 10,000, so that's probably a wash in both the general fund accounts. And the enterprise revenue, that had a plus 8,000, and the expenditure was a plus 4,000 for a positive $4,000 for this last month.
Okay. Any question? Rick?
Yeah, Bracewell had a couple of pretty healthy bills.
Healthy, yeah, right. We had held back a couple of those because we had some problems with it. And the 36,000, that is for 2 months. And then the other one, 27, is for 2 months. So there's 4 months of billing there.
Okay.
We held back.
I didn't complain when he didn't have a bill in there, did I?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Any other questions?
On the warrants? For the warrants?
I'm sorry?
For the warrants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Nova Property. Nova Property?
Nova?
It's second page, third from the bottom.
I think there's a refund on the water deposit
Okay.
for a property management company.
Yeah. And
What, on the first page, not the second page?
yeah, page 1 or 2.
Oh, no,
Third from the
yeah.
bottom.
Yeah, that's a refund from the community center.
Oh, there it is.
And then we had 2 bills from Charter Communications with about $20 difference on those. Was that like a double month?
Double month, yes.
Okay. And then also the County Water District.
That's the 8550, that's our membership in the Water Conservation Program,
And that's a once a year?
once a year,
Okay.
yeah. And that's divided into 3 categories for toilet rebatement, and then water conservation pamphlets, and an administrative charge.
And then the new SB Media,
And
it says new SB Media.
that's on the front page.
Yeah.
Those are to the newspaper. Or the post-
Is that for the posting on the
Oh, yeah,
agenda?
yeah, that's the advertisement.
Water, needs to go in the paper.
Okay. Okay.
Tony, did you have
I have a pump repair service, $12,000.
Yeah, that was a pump that went out at the wastewater treatment plant, and we had to replace that and with a control modular, you know, so it was a little bit more expensive.
And the Wellington Law Offices, was that also for 2 months?
Yeah, that's,
That was also 2 months. Okay, it'd be about right for 2 months.
yeah.
Coast County's glass?
That's the
The
second
library?
installment on the library
Okay.
door.
I thought it might be the library, I wasn't sure. So all the bills are in for building the
Yes.
fire department? That's all done?
That's all done, yeah.
And now most of them are in for the library too? Or there's still some work to do over there?
Still some lights to be hung, and a little bit of caulking, and then we have to put a light on the outside for the flag to be flown 24 hours a day. That will be on. When we re-roofed it a year ago, we took the solar thing down, and now we're going to replace it. Yeah.
And on the budget versus actual, let's see, where did I have that marked? The transient lodging taxes,
TOTs.
is that changing now that we have second hotel up and running, or where are we on the?
It's changing, but not that much, you know. I mean,
Not as much as,
Yeah, that's,
it was
we're
indicated.
worried about that, and I talked to Wendy, and I think we're going to perform an audit like we did last year on all of the TOT recipients, and that includes the Posada, the San Juan Inn, and then the Mission RV Park.
Oh, Mission RV Park too, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, that would be in there also. Okay,
That it?
good.
Okay, okay, moving on. 4B, Sheriff's Report, monthly activity, pretty lively on the last one. Any questions from council?
Should we give any update to the community on this?
If anybody has any comment, you can step forward. I don't, you can just address, for any of these, like Sheriff's
card.
Report or the Treasury Report, feel free. If I miss you, you can, just, you can come up. But any questions?
Yeah, Roger, is this part of our contract? I meant to come in and take a look at the contract and see, are we supposed to get a report, and are we supposed to get a written report, an oral report, both, neither, as far as our contract with the Sheriff's Department goes?
I thought we were under the standing that we were supposed to get a verbal report.
Verbal report, yeah. And in the past, it's been a verbal report, and kind of summarizing the written documentation of the arrest records and stuff like that.
I talked to Captain Taylor today, and he said he was going to be here, but,
Yeah, well, sometimes they're
Yeah, they get
unable to
tied
make
up
it,
or
but it's been
Yeah.
several months, and last month we didn't have a report at all, is why I'm asking.
Well, there was an accident on 156 in Union just
Yeah.
about 6 o'clock, so
Yeah.
he might be involved on that. So
Yeah, and one other time I know he wasn't here because sheriffs also have coroner duties, and climbing accident out at Pinnacles.
if he makes it by the end of the meeting, we'll pull him up. If he makes it by the end of the meeting, we'll pull him up.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
that it?
Yeah, it seems like they're doing more but reporting less. So, I mean, we want them out there doing things, so I don't want to be too picky about the reports as long as they're
Just a little
getting the work done.
information for people that want to stick around. After we had a little incident in San Juan, we went out and talked to First Alarm Security. They're going to give a presentation at the end of the meeting under the discussion items. They contracted the city of Santa Cruz in the downtown area, Salinas. They're talking the city of Monterey, but they basically, you can listen to their presentation if you want to stick around, what they do, and get an idea. But that's at the end of the meeting. They will be under discussion items and give us a little presentation on what they do. Okay? Okay, Fire Chief's report.
That might be the same,
yeah,
he might be at the accident there.
You have anything to say,
So, might
Robert?
be business as usual. I didn't get any statistics on fire report for that, other than the fire we had in town
Okay.
a couple weeks ago.
Is that the one at the trailer?
The 205, the motorhome, yeah.
Yeah, you were there. Oh, come on up, ma'am. Just give me your name and fire away.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name's Lupe Candelaria. I'm a resident of San Juan Bautista. I live at 85 4th Street. I've been there for almost 40 years. As I understand, there is no fire report then? Is that what, tonight?
Not yet.
Not yet. I would
Yeah,
like
we're
to
still waiting
comment
for it.
on that because I'm right across the street from 205 the Alameda, and around 9 o'clock p.m., I was on my computer and the blast literally shook my wall. It was quite shocking. I didn't know what was happening out there. My drapes were closed, so I couldn't see. Everybody assumed it was a truck that backfired or somebody shot somebody. I went to my porch, I opened the door, and there was a huge ball of fire, blazing uncontrollably, and it really was terrifying. If my daughter, who had been living there just 2 months before with her 2 babies, I probably would have leaped and maybe had a heart attack on the way over there. It was terrible, frightening. My dog ran into the house, everything. I stood at the porch waiting to see what would happen. There was a response, fire department, trucks, another truck from Hollister Fire Department came. They immediately put the fire out. Then they had a crime tape around the area where no one could enter. It was the scene of a crime, and I assumed it was because of the explosion. So what caused the explosion? We still don't have answers to that one. After it was over, there was a tow truck that came and removed the camper. I assumed it was the sheriff's department. I am wondering if we have a sheriff's report that says that they did remove that camper, and where did it go for further examination. The reason I bring that up is because comments are made constantly about it being a meth lab. And I represent my community, San Juan Bautista, the children of the school, and anyone nearby that can get terribly hurt or influenced through this kind of activity, ruining the lives of very young children that go through there, or young people. I come to you tonight to make this comment because there is a petition that is being circulated, and it will address these issues. We request the ones that are signing here from the City Council and the current City Administration correct and lawful action in solving the present situation at said site. We also expect that this petition will bring attention to our many serious concerns that have been consistently expressed for several years now, but remain unresolved. On October 13th at 9 p.m., an explosion of a camper being used as shelter at 205 the Alameda took place. And like I said before, the Hollister and San Juan police departments took care of it. There have been complaints of smoke and fire in the near past at this same property. Our concerns go unheard.
Okay, ma'am, you're about a minute over, but I think we understand where you're coming from. We
Yes.
do understand, because the next day the home was abated, you know, and we were going to hear it tonight
But there's
by
someone
law.
living there.
So what we're going to do, we're coming back November 3rd, not in our regular meeting. We're going to convene a special meeting to move this process on. I apologize for that. I go by there every day, but we are on it. Roger was out there the next morning, and I said, hey, this is it. I'm done.
Thank you.
So, so we're moving on. We are coming back November 3rd. Please show up and give us, you know,
I will.
we're going to be good with it, but we just have to follow protocol. And
I understand, and I appreciate your efforts.
No, we'll get it done.
We do request that the area be vacated and the debris and objects removed, and the building and surrounding areas be examined for any toxic activity.
Thank you very much.
I was in the office with Roger and
Any other speakers on the fire chief's report or fire?
Martinara?
Oh,
I think Lupe covered it adequately.
Okay.
But I am in 100% agreement and am very frustrated by that property.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in the office with Roger the next morning, and we have a full list of what we're going to do and investigate and make sure that property is returned, you know, to a a better gateway coming into this town, because you drive by, you kind of close one eye just so you don't have to look at it, and we're gonna have the owner responsible for this. We will take action on it.
Okay. Any other speakers? Okay, moving on. 4D, library report. I don't have any questions. Roger, everything's... Anybody from the public like to speak on the library? Seeing none. 4E, administrator reports, city manager, city planner and code enforcement. Roger, you want to fire away?
Just kind of quickly review the library. The door had been installed. The crew helped the Coast County Glass get that installed. Everything came out all right. And the crew is also working at well number 3. They've got all the conduit in and modular set and everything. And tomorrow we'll be meeting with a electrical contractor and a consultant that installs and specializes in lift stations. They'll be giving us a proposal and moving forward so we can get the lift station operational. Code enforcement, Matt's doing an excellent job, and amongst all of his other duties here, of riding herd on some of the RV and boats parked and stuff like that. And we're trying to catch as much as we can, but it's hard, particularly this last couple of weeks of getting ready for all the public hearings stuff. Planning department, we're moving forward on the appeal, and we've been busy developing all of the notices and the staff reports for that, and that'll be scheduled for November the 18th at 6 o'clock. We're also embarking upon the annexation and pre-zoning of the various properties that we've identified in some of the urban growth boundaries. Identified well number 3, that's in the county right now, and we want to get that annexed to the city. We want to get our reservoir, which is in the county, and we pay taxes on that, and we want to get that annexed so we can save some of the money on taxes. There's the 18 acres from that'll go into industrial along and opposite the Mission RV Park for a future agricultural business center. And then there's a small triangular piece north of town that'll be pre-zoned and annexed. And then the last one was the west half of the cemetery, 1/3 of it. We want to get that annexed into the city. Okay, that's really good.
Any questions for Tony?
You didn't do Rainia's place?
No, Mrs. Raina Elaine pulled her request for the pre-zoning and urban growth boundaries, and so we just kind of put it on the shelf. We wanted to bring that along with this, and it would have saved her a lot of money, but she decided to withdraw.
Okay. Any other further questions from the council?
In the brewery?
Anybody from?
Brewery project is moving? I noticed he had a dump truck there today.
Yeah, they finally moved in and everything, and they kind of cleared it out, and the consulting engineering, the M&H engineering, has to come in and stake it to give them the directions of how deep to cut and everything. And so they'll be probably in there Thursday or Friday to stake it, and then they'll start moving some dirt Monday, Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the brewery project was actually stalled. I thought they were just waiting for a tenant before they went further with the building. It was actually stalled.
It was actually stalled. It was in a litigation, in between the parties.
But it'll go forward now.
Yeah.
But they still don't have a tenant.
No.
So at some point they'll have to stop in order to allow whatever tenant they have to put their own little design choices.
We've issued a statement that they have to finish all of the improvements and get the building finished and painted, and all the walkways and patio areas in, the biofilters, the storm drain, pavement striping, and all the electrical.
On the code enforcement report, I have noticed a lot more going on since Matt's been on board, and I hate to see him spend too much time on it. Is 4-leaf just too darn expensive for us to use for some of the code enforcement?
Mm-hmm. The mayor asked me to look into that today, and I'm going to call 4-leaf and see if they can give us a proposal on some type of code enforcement a couple days a week or something like that, and that would help both Matt and I out.
Yeah, because when we used to use them, I used to be appalled at the bills that we get from them. So I understand that it's might make more economic sense to have somebody who's on board already, doing at least some of it. But particularly if we go forward with the sign ordinance and that kind of thing in the coming months, there's going to be a lot more that needs to be done, and I don't want to lose too much of Matt's time to code enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah, we recognize the new sign ordinance. There's going to be a tremendous amount of code enforcement and compliance with that. We have to just work through it.
Yeah, to say nothing of safety issues. But we are getting the fire department out doing more checking and stuff, they said in their last month's report.
Yeah, they're doing a good job, and they're doing it more as public relations rather than
That's
code
great.
enforcement. And
Yeah, it's, the fire chief mentioned that it was more of a public relations thing.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Roger, on a lighter side, now that all the cemeteries in the city, I'm having a columbarium delivered tomorrow. Do I need a building permit for that?
That's an interesting question. You know, it's a quasi-public facility.
Yeah, it's and it's prefabricated. I mean, it's
prefab and everything.
Okay.
There won't be any facilities to it, will there?
there will be no sewer water connection involved.
No sewer and water, no.
We'll probably need to see drawings.
Any appeals?
And all that.
Go ahead.
I just want to say I appreciate people coming in and giving me comments. I know it's complaint forms and stuff, but you know, I drive and walk around as much as I can. But you guys notice a lot more things than I do, and it's really easy for me to send out a letter, put down a date for compliance on things, and it really doesn't take that much time out of my day. And I think I've been pretty successful with addressing a lot of the concerns that I've gotten. So those forms are available here in the office and online, and I'm more than happy to talk to people about stuff. So
it's nice to have the eyes and ears out there.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this before we move on?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just a quick comment to that. At the neighborhood watch meeting, we had the idea had come up about possibly having a link to be able to autofill an email as opposed to walking it in. Not all of us can be here between 9 and 1. The few times I've been in, I happen to have been in the area. But perhaps if there's a way to have a format that can be filled out and sent online via email as opposed to walked in or faxed, that would help us out tremendously.
And Eric,
Drop
just to
it in
let
the
you know,
box.
I called the owner of the big dirt pile up there, and they're going to get on it immediately.
Thank you.
and I sent a letter. So.
I appreciate it.
Okay. 4F, public meetings and committee reports. Jolene, you want to go or whoever?
Oh, well, let's just get Eric back up here to do the neighborhood watch
Okay, Eric, come on
report.
up.
I'm back. We did hold a meeting, a neighborhood watch meeting on the 9th. We had a few attendants, usual suspects, a couple of newer faces. But we really need to get the word out that if you'd like to join the neighborhood watch group, we meet the second Thursday of every month here at City Hall. We do discuss items of topic, whatever it may be for any given month. We have a website that we have set up. I have the website address now for everybody to write down. It's pretty easy to remember. It's nwsjb.com. nwsjb.com. Neighborhood Watch, san1batista.com. If you go to nwsjb.com, where it's still in construction, but on there it'll show the agenda dates, it'll show the times. There's also places in there if you'd like to be put on the email list to get the agenda or get notifications. We're in the process now of trying to get trying to come up with some sort of minutes and updates that I can email back. So the whole thing is kind of a work in process, but if you go to nwsjb.com, it will give you the baseball game. Yeah.
I mean,
With that outburst, we're going to need an update.
If you go to that website, it will steer you through some stuff. Like I said, it is a work in progress. There is more information we're getting onto it. We're going to get some art from the city, not just stock photographs. I've already talked to a local photographer who's going to donate some pictures to put on there. We did have an open house. The open house that was being held at Luck Park on the 11th, my wife and I set up a booth, did a little bit of fundraising to help recoup some of the costs for the website. Had some help from Jolene while we went and did little tours around. Had some great conversations with people, got some more names to put on our list. Looks like we also actually got signed up with Anthony Patello. I believe he's coming in December.
December 9th meeting.
December 9th is what he says he's coming to see us, so our supervisor for the area, so that would be nice to see him. Also, we were sending out flyers, so that's it. The big thing is just the website where all the information is. It's also, I got a notification from the gal who does the website for the city, and it's now on the city website, links it to our website. So, questions, comments, concerns?
This web address, is this where the code violation form is going to be too, or?
You know, once it gets, if it gets on the website where it has an autofill, I will definitely link it on there. Right now there's links to the Sheriff's Department, the city's website, and a couple of other small things. But once that complaint form gets on there, yeah, I can definitely get it in there and link it to just another outlet for people to get the message. I will say in that regard, Matt has been very responsive to some of the complaint forms and things that I've sent in. The city's been pretty good as of late. Addressing those things. So yeah, if we can get those in sight, again, sounded like a quick letter he fired off, probably getting some results on some items.
And you can now go to the city website and click on Neighborhood Watch, and it'll take you to that website.
It's in the sheriff's portion. If you go to the city website, it's in where it says sheriff, and then where it's in sheriff, it has the Neighborhood Watch and a button to click, and it will take you to NWSJB, which will then take you to the website.
And I am going to try to get a speaker for the November 13th meeting. I'm going to talk to Darren Thompson, see if he's available. But yeah, we did nail down Anthony Patello. He promised to come on December 9th. So
yep.
That was good.
Cool.
Okay, thanks. Jolene, you want every other committee?
Yeah, I got the AMBAG, discussed the HERO program and the California First PACE programs as ways for homeowners to finance energy-efficient upgrades and solar. I have passed the info along to Matt Orbach to look at to look over for possible future city strategies to help with our green city type thing. But there is funding available for energy-efficient upgrades and solar upgrades through the California First PACE program currently, and the HERO program is something that we would have to sign up for as a city that we haven't, but there's already at least one program that's available to us. And then in strategic planning, we discussed the success of the Luck Library and Museum Open House. It was a great community outreach. The Historic Society slideshow by Ken Hollow was excellent. Let's see, the Government Communications Subcommittee recommended to approach the City Council to establish a San Juan Bautista Youth Commission. That was a great presentation by Shauna Friels, and we should be having that come to us in the future. Let's see. Oh, it'll come to us in a draft resolution. Might be ready for the November meeting. Recreation Committee, the Alameda Cultural Park is the name that they are using for the Sports, Arts, and Nature Preserve at the soccer field. It's moving along with the school board. The Land Use and Agriculture and Environment Subcommittee, we discussed what we support, and we support open space, parks, biking and walking paths in the city, and light industrial development on south side of 156 corridor with landscaping and trees to shield buildings from view. We support reducing the speed on 156, possibly with a stoplight or roundabout on eastbound at Monterey Street. That would slow the traffic coming into the city, which would be a wonderful thing if we could do that. So it's something to work with Caltrans on. And we also encourage San Juan Bautista in its quest to be a more green city and use alternative energy sources and less water-intensive landscaping. And did you have anything else to add from the strategic planning?
I don't think so. We're going to try to get that, the youth commission thing on for the November as a discussion item.
Yeah,
He just
it
received
sounded
all the
great.
documents today, yeah.
Shauna did a really good job with that.
Okay, I have a question.
Go right ahead.
What does HERO stand for?
I don't know.
Is it an acronym?
It's an acronym, yeah.
Okay, Tony. You have anything?
I would have to look,
we had a
I'm
COG
sorry,
meeting
let me
about
get back to you on that.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Google it.
I had a COG meeting, but nothing affecting San Juan.
Okay, Rick?
I never have anything exciting to report on. I had no meeting.
There you go. Robert?
Intergovernment, nothing really with concerns to San Juan. Most of the discussion was more or less for the homeless in San Benito County and how they're addressing it. Fire report, pretty much they're just working on Station 3 where they purchased a trailer and they're going to be moving that trailer out near some county property near the jail. So that kind of source going out to that part of the county will be a little faster response. Other than that, everything's been pretty smooth with the department. Captain Leo Alvarez has been appointed as a battalion chief intern. He's doing a very good job. And we're going to have some new reserves coming on to the group pretty soon.
Okay.
As soon as they finish up their academy.
The only thing I'll follow up on that, I know that every intergovernment meeting of the homeless, and just reading online that City of Hollister, which you're probably all aware of, and the county received $1.5 million grant for the homeless. So that was breaking news either today or yesterday, but they did get a grant to help some of these folks out. Okay?
Are you still in discussions on animal control? Because I just signed a bill for a pickup of a couple of animals.
It was not on the agenda last intergovernment.
Okay. Okay, moving on, we're going to pass. We're going to go to action items. 6A, consider appointment of the city clerk. Go right here. Okay. Trish, do you want to, or Roger, do you want me to, I'd like to give each applicant an opportunity
Opportunity to step forward, yeah, right,
to
yeah.
speak up, address the council. I guess we should.
At issue tonight is you have two options. You can appoint a city clerk to fill out the terms of the Linda, or you can elect to say, let's go out to an election. And I think the election would be approximately $12,000.
Correct, in the 12,000.
Okay, well, any other questions from the council? Because
I'm opposed to going out to election.
Well,
I would,
yeah, I'd like
would like to appoint somebody and wait until the regular election time for November 12th.
Okay. Okay, well, Connie, I'm not picking on you. You're the first one as I pulled my binder.
First applicant.
Hello, everyone.
Go in and introduce yourself and tell us
I'm
a little bit
Connie.
about
I have been a resident in town here for a little over 2 years. I'm also employed with the city. I've been working with the city as well for over 2 years, predominantly at the library. I am also the web content manager for the city's website. And I was considering the city clerk position because I was looking for an unbiased way to create a link between the city and the residents to try to get residents newer and older to come to meetings and try to find other ways to get involved with the community. At the library have brought in programs that haven't been seen in years. including a summer camp that happened just this past summer, as well as story time that includes First Five reading to the children twice a month. Yeah, I'd appreciate the consideration for city clerk. If you have any other questions regarding my qualifications, just let me know, or feel free to approach me after the meeting. Thank you.
You know what, is there any questions for Connie right now, or we can call her back up, or?
I just have one, and that's, there's an online course that we have to take for ethics.
Yes.
And would you be willing to take both the ethics course and reading up on the Brown Act, because those are two things that are very important to a clerk's position?
Yes, of course.
Are you familiar with the Brown Act at all?
Yes,
Okay.
I have reviewed it upon posting the agendas on the city website a number of times, but I would be more than glad to take that course.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Okay, thank you. We'll
Thank you.
may ask you another question. Okay, is Ms. Fields here? Frills? Hi.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Shawna Frills.
Hi.
Before I interview with you, I shared some information with you. It's in your packet about this process, and
Okay.
I wanted to just kind of reinforce what I provided to you. This is an elected position, so it's elected city clerk just as you are an elected official.
Right.
And government code requires you to actually make the decision first to appoint or open a special election, and then 60 days thereafter you need to have done that. So I think this process was a little bit of the cart before the horse. Staff went out and published a notice, and it actually wasn't the job description of an elected city clerk, it was the job description of your in-house deputy city clerk. If you look at your packet, it shares with you a little bit of the background on that, what was posted to the public. As soon as I saw it, I contacted Trish. I said, Trish, wait a minute, this isn't government code. These are not the jobs or the functions of an elected city clerk. These are administrative functions under the direction of the city manager and that sort of thing. So I really want you to understand that this process really isn't following government code. Your job really is to make a decision first. Do you want to open this up for an appointment process and then have staff go out and publish a notice requesting for applications and that sort of thing? Okay. So just so you understand, I gave you the citations in here. I shared it with Roger earlier. He said that you had already talked about this or discussed it, but I didn't see it in your minutes from the last meeting. So I'm thinking possibly that didn't take place. The resignation was on the 19th, your last meeting was the 16th, so I'm thinking that probably didn't take place.
No, it didn't.
Yeah. So again, that's really the process that you're supposed to follow under the government code. This is an elected position. It's not hiring a fire chief or a code enforcement officer or something like that. This is an elected position where you make those decisions and then choose to appoint or elect a city clerk. I think your staff report says you have 30 days, it's actually 60. And that's in the information I provided to you under public comment. Okay. So that's my public comment. I actually filled out a speaker card to share that with you.
No, you can. I know that you're. You
forgot the timer. No.
You'd like to have the position. Go ahead and
so
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. You're the only person who doesn't know me.
Yeah.
I'm a master municipal clerk. I work for the city of Gilroy. I was first appointed here in San Juan Bautista in 2000 as a deputy city clerk. I ran for the elected position in November of 2000, and I was elected for 2 terms. I worked for the city of San Juan Bautista for 7 years, and then was appointed by the city council of the city of Gilroy. I'm now their city clerk, and I've been there since 2007. I'm on the board of directors of the City Clerks Association of California. I'm a professional development representative from the City Clerks Association. Vast experience in the profession. Obviously, a lot of experience in San Juan Bautista. I grew up here. This is my city. I've gotten involved in our strategic plan committee about 1.5 years ago. I saw the need, and as I've gotten more involved, I've seen that being involved in the public process, I think this is a good fit for me again. And I'm happy to provide any kind of assistance I can to staff and yourselves, and most importantly, the public, because I see a big void in public information in San Juan Bautista. So, those are my background. I didn't provide you with a resume because I felt this process really didn't follow government code, but I certainly can offer you a resume.
Okay. Any questions?
As to AB 1234, I conducted, so the training that you asked about earlier.
Yeah, well, clearly you're qualified for your position that you have. in Gilroy. I have a question about, didn't you quit the clerk position here?
I resigned my elected position. Well, I quit the appointed job because I had another offer, and a much higher paying job in a full service city that I was able to use all of my qualifications. And so I did leave San Bautista for that. I've been there for 8 years as a city clerk, and this is an appointed position, so it's not in-house, similar to what your last city clerk was doing. Most of those duties that are defined in government code that you have, those things are delegated to the deputy. I oversee the process to make sure that things are followed properly. But it's not an in-house position.
But you also resigned from your elected position prior to the ending of your
Yes.
term, correct?
Right at the end, yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Council, I have a question. These numbers went right over my head. Can we or can we not appoint a clerk tonight? Or do we have to bring it back?
The government code section says that within 30 days from the commencement of the vacancy, you can fill the vacancy from appointment or call a special election. So in this case, I think you're going to make a selection tonight, and the selection will be sworn in at the next regular meeting. So I think that complies with the process set forth in the government code.
What section are you looking at?
36512?
It's 60 days, I believe. Yeah,
I said 60 days.
It says within 60 days.
I
from
said
the-
60 days, yeah.
Oh, you said 30.
You
Oh,
said 30.
did I? Okay, it says 60 days here. So
So,
that's in
give me a
compliance
wrong,
with the
we select
process.
tonight, they get sworn in, you know.
At the
down
next
road.
meeting, correct.
I got it.
So the verbiage does say that it's okay for us to go ahead and appoint sometime within the 60 days.
That's correct.
I think it's important, if I may, I think it's important to involve the public in the process, and that's why I bring this to you. Not that I don't think I'm qualified or that anyone else is qualified, but the public needs to be a part of this process. That's why it's a public meeting that you make the decision. Are we going to appoint or are we going to hold a special election? The public gets the opportunity to speak before it's agendized as appointment of a city clerk.
Okay, so then we'll go to
So-
the public.
Pardon me?
Could we make a decision to appoint the city clerk, make that decision,
Tonight.
and then appoint her, or whoever it would be, the next meeting? Are we within?
Sworn in.
Yeah, we're within time to do that. So I would make a motion that we decide
down.
to appoint
Okay.
a new city clerk rather than have an election.
I think we're all in
I'll
agreement.
second that.
I think we're all in agreement on that.
12,000 reasons why.
Okay,
You got
so,
12,000 reasons? Yeah.
okay,
There's no
so,
need to rush this. We're not in any hurry, you know.
oh yeah, I mean, both applicants are here, and,
We could
So-
make a decision next,
but we can appoint, we can name one tonight, correct?
We can name one and then swear them in next
Yeah,
time,
right, so we can, and then swear them in.
is my understanding of the legal, yeah.
What was the official date of
What's the
Linda's resignation?
September 19th.
September 19th?
Why don't we make that nomination next meeting?
Yeah.
that would be, yeah.
We'll wait till the next meeting to make the nomination. This way we
But-
can have more public input.
There's a
Is
motion
there
and a
any
second.
public who want to
There's
give
a
in?
motion and, oh, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
There doesn't seem to be any public that wants to give input, and it was posted, and so that to me is offering it for public input. I'm not sure I
No
understand.
speaker cards or?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's an action item. We should have a
Yeah,
public
it's an
hearing.
action item. I think we ought to go
Okay,
ahead and,
I'm going to go on legal counsel that we can appoint tonight, and it's been posted properly, okay? So if there's any questions among the council members of the other two candidates, feel free to ask. If not, I'll call, somebody can make a motion.
can
Before I
I-
ask, this is 60 days there, that would make it 11/16, is it? And your next meeting is 11/18?
yeah, so we really should, I really think that we should go ahead. and
Present a problem?
I would be happy to not nominate our,
You could do it at the next continued meeting,
You can do
Our
it November
first
3rd,
continued
right?
meeting on November 3.
yeah, but
Yeah, you could do it at your special meeting of the 3rd. If you wait until 11/18, that would be 62 days.
Is it 62, or just if we're going from the 18th to 18th, depending on how many days are in that month?
Yeah, 31 days, so.
It was-
31,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I would like to go ahead and make a nomination and go forward.
First, we have to approve whether we're going to appoint or elect.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yeah.
We haven't had public comment.
Okay, this is
That-
basically on the election, or not?
The motion was
For
that
appointment.
we elect,
Right.
that we appoint as opposed to
rather than
calling an
elect.
election.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
we have we have a motion on the floor.
And a second.
In a second, but basically, to either, basically, we want to appoint and not elect. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address the council before I take this vote? Seeing none, I'll bring it back. So any further discussion from council? Then I call for the vote.
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye. Okay.
All members of this council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously 5-0.
Okay. Now I'm looking for,
So
if you want
now
to make an appointment, I
we
need a
can make
motion for
a
a candidate.
nomination or appointment or however.
Yeah, whatever.
I would like to
Appointment.
nominate and recommend Connie with the caveat that she complete the online ethics course and receive pertinent information from our city attorney on the Brown Act. She's been very involved in the city, and I think she'd make a good clerk.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, before I call for a roll call vote, any further discussion from council members? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Public comments?
Public, yeah.
Okay, sorry, time out. We have a motion from Connie Sherbert to an appointment. There's a first and a second. I'm going to call for a vote, but in the meantime, is there anybody, before we take that vote, that would like to address the council? Come on up here.
Chris Martorena, 97 4th Street. I've done a lot of hiring in my past, and I am surprised at the lack of question and apparent lack of consideration of the background. I'm a little disturbed and concerned that the process is moving very quickly. I just wanted to say that I've worked with Shauna extensively on the strategic plan committee in my time as the chairman, more than a year, and I think she is clearly the most qualified candidate and has demonstrated a very strong passion for the community.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Matt?
Can I ask, sorry, Shauna, really quickly, you seem to very much stress the public involvement. So other than posting it and sort of, word of mouth, talking about it, whatever, what other ways are there that the public should be getting involved in this?
Well, interesting question, but so the public's, this is a public process. This is a public body. The city council should be, I think it was presumed that the city council would appoint, and so staff went out and ran a notice that it isn't even the elected job. And so, the whole process seems very flawed, but to involve the public in the process, you're supposed to let the public know this is the opportunity for the public to say, do you want an elected city clerk, or do you want to run a special election for an elected city clerk, or do you want to give input on an appointed city clerk? It might not seem like a big deal to you, but it's the same thing as a city council member. And it's a step-by-step process. Every city does it that way. So this is just very unusual to just notice the public that we're going to appoint a city clerk without actually saying there's the opportunity to make a decision on how that process works.
So ideally, you would say, having made the decision now to appoint rather than have an election, they should repost it and then come back on the 3rd, giving them the public between now and then.
That's the proper process.
Okay,
It's
I just wanted to
make the
clarify that.
decision. I appreciate that.
I'm
very
kind of
much.
leaning towards
It's
that.
to make the
I would really like to
decision.
lean towards that.
To appoint or elect.
Yeah.
Post it properly, and then make the decision on who you're going to appoint. You may find several other candidates in San Juan Bautista, believe it or not, who have a lot of administrative background, who may have some secretarial background or whatever it is, or a legal background like your last elected city clerk. that might be the better candidate. So that's why the process is so important, that it's open and public.
I'd really like to move to that.
Just to go on the record, it was posted a second time and posted properly, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, so it was properly posted.
Yeah, and it's a fiscal decision is the reason why I think it's fine for the council to go ahead and make that decision. The city can give all the input they want, but unless they're willing to come up with the $12,000 for the election, it's going to be an appointment, just like it is when a city council person
Vacates?
vacates the office. Thank you, I was going to say dies, because that's happened before, but vacates is better. Or for some other reason, vacates the position, and then they are normally, with this council, appointed by the council, because we usually seem to feel that we can't afford for a short term to go out and put it to election. It's been put before the public many times as to whether we should have an appointed or an elected clerk, and every time the citizens say they want an elected clerk, and I agree with that. But in the middle of the term, when the elections are going to happen on November 4th, we can't get them into this election. Our former clerk chose to vacate the office at a time when we can't get them into the election, really, fiscally, and be fiscally responsible until the next elections in 2016. So I think it's fine to go forward with it myself. But that's my opinion, and I didn't make my recommendation based on the fact that I didn't think Shauna was qualified. Shauna is very qualified to do the job that she's doing in Gilroy. She also vacated the office before it ended, and that's my only reason for preferring the other candidate.
We already made the decision to appoint. We voted on it already. So that decision's already been made. I don't see why we need to rush into making an appointment. Linda wasn't here at every meeting. We have tried to make this an appointed position instead, and the voters do want an elected position. And because of that, I don't see why we need to rush into filling it tonight, even if we can. What's the rush? What do we need this position for? You know, Trish does the work.
Because it has to be done in 60 days, and otherwise we're going to be depending on the special meeting.
But we're already
we can't all even be here.
We can do the special meeting. Do we have to appoint within 60 days of
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we do.
That was what our city attorney made very clear, and that's what the rush is.
The special meeting's going to be at like 6 o'clock or so. I can make it back for that. I kind of lean towards postponing appointing your recommendation with just a little more time.
Okay.
I do see where the confusion was in this public notice. It does say, let's see, 1, 2, 3, fourth line from the bottom, appointment to fill the vacancy, which is probably not the right terminology. But
I was following the instructions.
I mean, I have to agree with everybody else. I don't want to spend $12,000 to elect a city clerk.
And the attorney has said that it was legal.
Yeah.
So.
But we're already having a special meeting. We've already called the special meeting. I would just as
It's
soon
not
turn this
like
over
we're
to
going
them.
out of our way for it.
Do you want to, okay, you had a motion and a second.
Right, I
Do
can
you
call
want
for
to
the
postpone
vote.
it? Or do you want to postpone it?
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and hear from the mayor? If he's for postponing it, then we'll go with
You
that.
know, you can, I'm going with legal counsel. What legal counsel's telling us, that we can go ahead and do what we're doing. I'm not going to be here in, in a month and a half, but it's, if I got to make the decision tonight, I'll make it. I don't have a problem. I'll just get it done, and I'll come back on the 3rd and basically ratify it, or just swear them in. I don't know if we're going to.
Well, we can go ahead and postpone the nomination until the 3rd, and then we would still be able to swear them in at our next regular meeting.
So you need to recall your nomination then, so we don't go forward with the nomination?
Fine.
Is that, well, I'm just,
Yeah.
is that how?
Yeah, we can do that.
You'd have to withdraw the motion
I will-
made,
Right.
but I would also ask for clarification. Are you asking the city to renotice this for more candidates now as an appointment, or you're just going to come back and make a decision? 'Cause,
That's another thing. It has to
I
get
have a question. You know, we have 2 applicants. If all the timeframes are done correctly, can we continually stall this? Or, you know, I'm looking at you, we're in the timeframes, so I just want to know, can we, if we do make a decision tonight, are we proper? Or, you know, but if we back up and go over that 60 days, then what takes place?
You have a special election. You're forced into
you
a
know,
special election if you go over the
Yeah,
60
we
days.
don't want to be forced into that.
Yeah, well, you know, I wouldn't want to spend 12 grand.
We have a special meeting already called.
But can it be noticed and be okay for the next special meeting? Do we have enough time before the next special meeting for noticing it?
Do you have any city requirements for noticing on this? Is there any?
That would be the government code
Just the government code.
65090, you know,
Okay.
which is a 10-day notice.
Right, okay.
So it only
We've
has
got-
to be a 10-day
We
notice,
have
so
2
we're
weeks
within the
between
window.
this and the next
Yeah.
meeting, so it would have to be renoticed immediately, right?
You got a motion and a second. So
She withdrew it.
did you withdraw it?
I am willing to withdraw it
You haven't done it.
if the feeling of the council is that we should renotice it and bring it back on the 3rd.
I'm
That's
good
okay
with,
with me. I mean, I seconded it, but if she wants to withdraw it and then repost this immediately, see if you get any more applicants. And now you can use the terminology appointment.
So the
because,
notice that's out is
well, we
fine.
passed the motion, we would appoint. So we can go from there and do it on the 3rd.
okay.
And just make sure it's on the agenda.
Okay,
Is that
so,
okay with you?
that
I
fit
withdraw
in?
my second.
okay, we're going to move this on to November 3rd. Continue it, correct? Continue it to November 3rd. Okay. Sorry for all the confusion. But thank you for the interest, you guys.
Do we need to set a new deadline
Yeah, thank
for
you.
applications or anything? Because I know we got one of those on like the last day. So the Friday, anybody know that date?
31st,
Halloween.
October 31st.
Halloween,
So Halloween.
Halloween deadline.
Okay.
That should be
Okay.
easy enough to remember.
6B, consider a ratification of selection of Sonora Vasquez to honor on Philanthropy Day. We have a nomination, and I just need,
What do we have there?
Where'd it go? Richard Ponce.
Introduce the ordinance.
I think Richard was
There's Sonora, but where's
Yeah.
Richard? Where's your promoter?
Yeah. Richard, come on
The
up.
promoter.
Get over
Anybody
it.
have an
Richard,
update
you
on the
can come
game?
up and, or Sonora, come on up.
Has anybody got an update on the game?
You have to tell us why she deserves it.
I'm sure there's a lot of other people in the community that also deserve this award. But what came to, the reason she came to mind is, to me, is that she joined the VFW. She's vice commander of the VFW. She was instrumental in fundraising to put a new roof on our VFW building. She was very involved with the Native Daughters in supporting and helping with our annual Fremont Peaks Day, which was very successful. We had more people there than we've had in a long, long time. She's also involved with the project, the school project that Jolene talked about. She's involved in that. What was the other one? What was it?
And the
Also
Rotary.
a new member of the Rotary Club.
Rotary.
There you go.
Which one? I don't,
Anyway, she's very involved in San Juan Bautista. She was raised in San Juan Bautista. She's an upcoming leader someday, and I wish her luck.
I also have a comment from the Ladies Auxiliary Veterans of Foreign War.
Okay. Sonora, you're up here. Do you have anything to say? I mean, you know.
I don't. I heard about it from Richard, and I think it's an honor. I think it's wonderful that he's put me up for this award, and if chosen, I'd just like to thank you all. I don't do anything to be recognized. I didn't actually know that this existed. I do it because I'm from San Juan, and I love our community, and I want to give back. So thank you.
Thanks.
I think we have.
Do you want to read that?
Yes, I was asked if I could read it.
Oh, Trish?
Congratulations on your choice of Sonora Vasquez as the city's Philanthropy Day honoree. The veterans in the Ladies Auxiliary of Post 6359 are proud that our Senior Vice Commander Vasquez is honored for her civic contributions while serving our country every day in active service, and at the same time being a wife, a mother, and a young woman who is an inspiration to other young people whose lives began right here in San Juan Bautista. Thank you, the Sisters of the Leslie L. Garrett, VFW, Post 6359.
No, I want to make a comment.
Yeah.
Sonora, I saw you at a neighborhood watch meeting. I saw you at 2 Rotary Club meetings where your son faced the wall trying to sell candy bars, but very shy young. But Richard came to me with this, and I immediately said, yeah, I'm really impressed, and keep up the good work. We need young people like you in San Juan.
Yeah.
Tony, you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make...
Or go ahead.
I have one comment too, not in regards to Sonora. I think she's an excellent choice, but in regards to the Philanthropy Day, I'd like to see some kind of trigger so that the council is reminded about Philanthropy Day, say at our August meeting, and then we can go forward with it at the September meeting, because we always seem to be getting these notices just a little bit late for this particular item. And so I'm sure that there, with all the little things you can put in your phone and everything else, there's a way to get a trigger put into our packet so that every year in August we're reminded, and then in September we make the nomination.
Okay.
That's all I have, because there are a lot of people who do a lot of volunteer work in this city, including Sonora, who's an excellent choice.
Is there a speaker card on this?
No, it's
okay. Okay. Trish, do we have, it's at San Juan Oaks again?
Yes, it is, and we normally have a city council member accompany the honoree. So we paid for 4 dinners.
Okay.
And we need 1 or 2 people to.
Okay.
On the
When
city
is it?
side too.
When is it?
What day is it?
13th of November, it says on this.
November 13th.
That's a Thursday?
I think it was on a Thursday.
I'd be interested for that.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go.
There we go.
If nobody has.
There's your escort.
I think Robert.
Okay.
Do I get to make a motion?
Yeah, we're gonna need a motion and a second to.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we ratify the selection of Sonora Vasquez to honor on Philanthropy Day, November 13th.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bach?
Aye.
Councilmember Edge?
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund?
Aye.
Mayor Moore?
Aye. Congratulations. Okay, this next item is the, basically consider approval of the city stand on the fracking. I'm just going to take about a 4-minute break And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to allow, I think Andy or whoever your representative is, but 10 minutes, and then the other half, they want to present,
I actually think we have a number of people that want to speak.
well, I mean, you can do that, or I can. Everybody has 3 minutes. I know that Christie has, has a little PowerPoint type deal. So I was going to give you or whoever.
Okay.
Well, no,
Can I speak after the PowerPoint? But that wouldn't rule out other people having their 3
well,
minutes.
I kind of want, you brought this action, so you can go first.
Okay.
If that's fine. And then I'll bring the other side, and then we'll just open it up for public comment. But in the meantime, I'm going to take about a 3-minute break, okay?
How do you get 3?
Come up?
Yeah, well, look, if you want, I'll announce them, or you want me to announce them, or kind
No,
of...
I'll get it.
Okay.
Before we get started, I want to just have Chief O'Connor was out of this city. Chief, we have our fire chief's report. You can just give us a brief deal, and you can go
I've
ahead.
got actually some good news. Not that every time I come up here, it's not good news. We just got the okay from the council, the Hollister Council, to purchase the breathing apparatuses that we received the grant in July. So we'll be spending $300,000 on new apparatus, breathing apparatuses for all of the engine companies, stations, and all that. So it'll be approximately 80 breathing apparatuses that we'll be purchasing. So at no cost to the local government.
Okay.
That's good news. Very good. Any questions?
Anything on the incident?
The incident we just had was a jackknife big rig on 152 at Bixby, non-injury.
156?
Proxy, 156, excuse me, 152, 156. And it was about 50 gallons of diesel fuel on the ground. So Caltrans is still out there working on that. So the road is open.
Okay. Well, I don't have any questions. Rick?
Yeah, do you have any information on the incident on the Alameda on October, 13th?
Alameda on
The motorhome.
The trailer.
Motorhome.
Oh, the fire.
The
Okay.
camper or whatever.
Around in the driveway there. The fire started by a lantern left inside the trailer, lit. We suspect one of the canines inside the trailer knocked it over, starting the trailer on fire. Both canines were deceased, and the trailer was fully involved when we arrived and was contained to the trailer only. No damage to the structure or the rest of the property. And the trailer was towed away to Broncos, I think towed it to their yard.
What caused the explosion?
That was other tanks that he had in there, LPG tanks that he had inside for the lantern. They were exploding inside. So, none of the large LPG tanks went off or anything like that. So, and that's it. Any other questions?
I don't have any. If you're done, I'll open it up to the public in a minute, Richard. Is there any other question for the chief? It's okay. Okay, Mike, thanks for getting over here.
Take care. Not a problem.
Hey, Richard, yeah, come on up.
Richard Ponce, 934th Street. I live right across the street, basically, from this property. A lot of people are wondering where the trailer went, why was it pulled out immediately? Yeah, that's the question. Why was it pulled out and where is it?
He escaped. Oh, there he is.
Mike, you had a couple questions. Why was the trailer removed? Number one, and where did it go? Those are just the questions of one of the
There's
Mr.
a lot of
Ponce.
stuff in there beside that trailer that should have been removed. Thank you.
Did they do it, Mike, before I go on, and you can answer Mr. Ponce's question, did they do an inventory the following day at the sheriff's office, or did anybody go through that thing with a fine-tooth comb?
Everything in that trailer was totally consumed. There was pretty much nothing left. The two canines were left in the vehicle. They could not be gotten out that night, so they were taken over to the Broncos towing, where Hollister Animal Control went ahead and took care of the animals.
Okay.
With the trailer itself, what happened to that?
The trailer is at Broncos.
Oh, I see.
It was impounded at Broncos in a secured yard for the night.
I think what happened, Richard, and I got on the phone, I said, you need to get, I was down there with Robert, and I said, you need to get this thing out of here. I mean, regardless, secure it at a scene, but it can't stay here.
Yeah, it was,
burned up. I mean, it was a
a
mess.
public hazard the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because of all the questions on the allocation and stuff going on there, and the committee's totally aware of that, that's why the question is, why did they pull it out so quickly? There was a lot of things going on there that...
Well, I think the question to direct is to the sheriff's office who was there. And they were aware of what was going on. But, if they completed their crime scene investigation or whatever and moved it to a secure area where nobody could get to it, that's another thing. But I wasn't privy to that, but
That's basically the question.
Right.
Is there crime involved or something? That's what the community is
Okay.
concerned about.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
And that was the animal control issue that I kind of alluded to earlier, was that we were charged for the deceased animals in the trailer by animal control.
After it left
County
the
Animal
city?
Control. I am not sure exactly how that worked, but we were charged for it by animal control.
Can we turn around and, do we have to go over to the tenant, or can we go after the homeowner?
I believe we will go to the
Okay.
homeowner for the animals, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. See no further questions or public comment. Okay, let's move on to consider approval of the city's stand on fracking. I did ask, I'm sorry you didn't get notice. I asked the city clerk or somebody to call you, to give you 10 minutes. Along after you're done, I'll give Christy 10. But
Good evening, Mayor Moore, members of the council. My name is Andy Shaw-Coran. You know that because I've addressed you quite a few times over the last year in regard to both fracking and renewable energy issues, Model Green City, so we've had a lot of time together. I had not originally planned on 10 minutes, but I probably won't do 10 minutes right now, but we came to you to ask you to take a stand on the issue of Measure J. And Measure J, the initiative to ban fracking, cyclic steam injection, and matrix acidizing, has turned out to be the most engaging issue in this county in many, many years. I've talked to folks, I've lived here 28 years, but I've talked to folks who've been involved in the political life of this county for 40 or 50 years, and they can't remember an issue that involved people as much as this one has. And there's good reason for it to involve people as much as it has, because it really presents us a crossroads about the future of the county, about what our development, what the vision for our county will be. And we were concerned, and you know about the concerns about fracking. I'm not going to go over all the concerns about fracking again, because there's been so much in the newspapers and so much you can read about fracking and about cyclic steam injection and about acidizing. I'll say a few things, since fracking is a lot more covered than the other issues. The other types of what we call tertiary or enhanced extraction methods also have their risks. As a matter of fact, the cyclic steam injection has enough risks that a judge basically turned around and said that the project down by Pinnacles National Park had to be stopped, and there had to go through a much more substantial environmental impact review. In that area, that project, so I'll say a little bit about that, because that's probably the biggest project that this initiative would affect. There's a plan for 1,000 wells in the long term down by Pinnacles National Park. It's in an area where there's a shallow aquifer, a shallow deposit, and Chevron's own engineers have said that cyclic steam wells have a higher rate of failure than other wells, upwards of 19% get compromised. Now imagine 1,000 wells going through a shallow aquifer with 19% of them having the potential for being compromised. That's 190 wells that could potentially be avenues for fluids to get into that shallow aquifer. It has enough concern that the owner of the property where that project is happening, Charlie Hinkle, has endorsed us and sent us $1,000. You may have seen in the news that 80,000 gallons of produced water was put back into those wells. And that the complaint was made to Dogger. We read it that it's a violation of Dogger's regulations and a violation of what the county said they were allowed to do on that project. And that raises a big concern about all of these kinds of projects and what they might do to aquifers. Okay, so that's cyclic steam injection. Another red herring you'll probably hear some more about this evening is the issue of acidizing. And some people have made the false comparison saying that our initiative would stop people from doing the routine kinds of cleaning of wells, whether they be oil wells or water wells, that removes the buildup of scale in the wells. Dogger has a white paper about that. They make it very clear that that kind of treatment of wells is not the same thing as matrix acidizing, and our initiative would not ban that kind of routine maintenance. So, you know, people have been worried, raised that issue around. It's a red herring. And that seems to be part and parcel of this whole argument. Early on, we were told that our initiative banned all oil drilling in the county. And the planning director had to set the record straight on that. That was set straight in the Pinnacle, in the freelance, that no, our initiative would allow for conventional oil drilling in about 90 to 95% of the county in the ranch and rangeland. So we've seen a series of arguments presented against Measure J and then amplified by the biggest media payout that has ever been seen in our county. You may or may not know, but our opponents have $1.9 million in their campaign, which is approximately $75 per every registered voter in our county. We've done pretty well. We've raised about $120,000, which is pretty big by San Benito County standards. That comes out to $4 or $5 per voter. So this initiative, we could use your help on this, because it's hard to get past the television commercials and the kind of, you know, inundation that people have had around this issue. And your elected representatives, you know, you have a responsibility to look out for the people in this county. So to endorse this initiative would be to show that folks who've actually thought about this quite a bit this year have taken a stand on the issue, and taken a stand with what I believe is the public in this county. 4,180 people in our county signed a petition to put that. There would have been much more. We tried to do it, we did that all in 4 weeks. So it was probably record-breaking that we got that many signatures. We've been in every neighborhood, knocking on doors, and the response is overwhelming on our side, that this is the right thing to do. But the other side has created a great deal of confusion. First, they adopted our motto, Protect San Benito County, and we wondered, how is this protecting San Benito County to expand the oil industry into dangerous drilling methods? Now, the latest, there are new big signs out there that say it goes too far. And I would say it's just right. It allows what we've always had in this county, conventional oil drilling, to continue, as long as that kind of drilling can continue. But it prohibits the kind of methods that have proven in other places to have a higher risk of contaminating what is the most precious resource in our county right now, besides our people, which is our groundwater. And you all know that here in San Juan Bautista. You've been forced to look into getting a new well north of the city. Think about the fact that there's another oil field just north of our county line. It has a wastewater injection well. What would have happened if that system over there contaminated the groundwater and you couldn't go north of the city to find new sources of clean water? What would it mean to the city? Look out at Kern County, where they now have shut down a number of wastewater injection wells associated with the oil drilling industry because they found signs of contamination. in the surrounding agricultural wells. The issue that most people in this county are having to grasp is that you can't have it all. You have to make hard decisions, and we hope that you'll help us pass this decision and endorse Measure J. And I think that's enough for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Hey, before we move on with...
Any questions?
No, but we know where you're at.
Okay.
Right here. Before we, Christine's going to come up and represent the other side and set up. Would everybody that wants to speak, make sure you get a speaker card in. Start putting them in so we can, when we get going, I can call on the public. I don't have any. Is there any questions right now? Okay, Andy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Christine, go ahead and come up.
Good evening. I don't really need to set up. Unfortunately, we weren't set up for PowerPoint, so
Okay.
I provided copies to everyone on the dais, and I have left my flash drive with staff in the event that anybody in the audience or within the public would like to receive copies. Mayor Moore, members of council, staff, neighbors, friends, my name is Christina Chavez Wyatt. I'm a small business owner. I own a micro business, own and operate Farmhouse Communications here in Hollister. And I conduct community engagement for public and private organizations. I'm a contract executive director for the San Benito County Business Council, and I'm also working with San Benito United for Energy Independence. I'm a proud member of the Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau, Farm Bureau, California Women for Agriculture, and I work with those organizations to work with communities to get them to understand where their food, fiber, and fuel comes from. I was appointed by the governor to the 33rd Ag District to the Fair Board in July and have been very proud to serve our community there. I'm proud to have graduated with from Gavilan College with 2 associate's degrees, 1 in liberal studies and other in biological science, and put myself through school, went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, got my degree in agriculture from the Division of Natural Resource Management in Commercial Tourism Management with an emphasis on ecotourism and destination marketing. I'm proud to be a wife of a farmer, a wine grape grower, and very glad that we're done with our harvest season. It was a really great season. I'm a mom to 3-year-old twins, and we're looking to continue living here as we have. My family's been here for 30 years, and I'm proud to be a 5th-generation Californian. So with that, digging into some of the details here. Again, I'm working with San Benito United for Energy Independence, and our goal is supporting continued domestic oil production while protecting the environment and addressing the concerns of local communities. And I think it's important in this discussion is to talk about where energy comes from here in California. Currently, our energy portfolio is 75% petroleum, which is petroleum and natural gas, oil and natural gas, and the rest is imported interstate electricity, thankfully a good and growing renewable energy portfolio, and then also a little bit of hydroelectric and a little bit of nuclear. And where that energy is used, majority is transportation. We have a lot of tourism here, we have a lot of agriculture here, and we need to be able to move our trucks, move our cars, and get people throughout California and throughout the United States. The remainder is industrial, residential, commercial, and electric power. Again, as we also know in agriculture, especially with our large cooling plants, it takes a lot of energy to make sure that our food maintains the cold chain and we provide good bag salads and cartons to our communities. And while California is the 3rd highest producer of oil and gas in the United States, everything that we drill here only covers 37% of our need. So the remaining 63% are imported from foreign countries and other states, including Saudi Arabia at 30%, Ecuador 22%, and Iraq at 18%. And these are countries and areas where we're areas of conflict, where they don't have environmental protections, nor do they have worker protections. And I'd like to quote one of my mentors, former U.S. Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta, who said, "The key components of a secure nation include education, a growing middle class, and energy independence." It's also very important to note where oil production is here in the county. We only have 26 active wells, and they're currently in the Vallecitas oil field, which is in Panoche, right on the Fresno County line. The other proposed active oil field, as Mr. Shaw-Caron referred to, is Project Indian, which is on the Spur Ranch, and that is about 20 minutes from Pinnacles National Park in road miles, 6 miles from Pinnacles National Park in as the crow flies. It takes about a half hour from Highway 25 to actually get to the oil field. So it's right on the foothills on the other side of Monterey County. Greenfield is on the other side. Regarding steam injection and the Citadel proposal, they have engaged an environmental impact report process for their full production facility. They received a conditional use permit and a cursory environmental review for their exploratory wells, but now they've done their exploratory wells. They're doing a 1-year environmental impact report at their cost of $200,000. It's going to take about a year. And also regarding steam injection in California, about 60% of our wells in California are estimated to be utilizing steam injection and have been since at least 1962 safely. I was concerned regarding some of the issues that Mr. Shaw-Caron brought up regarding proposed well failures regarding steam injection. So I called the Division of Oil and Gas Public Information Office and found that there was no findings or evidence to support the 19% fail rate. And also to look at the concerns of Mr. Hinkle, who is the property owner and doesn't own the mineral rights on his property. Mr. Hinkle, the fact is he's an oil man. He doesn't have the mineral rights on his property, but he drills for oil and gas throughout the state of California. We found here in San Benito County that oil and gas operations have been a compatible use for about 150 years. Our current oil and gas wells, and those are proposed, are very far away from residential areas, and they're compatible use with other uses of land, including cattle ranching and agriculture and open space. For example, a good example of steam injection is in the San Ardo oil field, which is in the far south of Monterey County. That oil field, just the 2 producers alone, are the largest property taxpayer of Monterey County. More than Pebble Beach Company, more than Northridge Mall, etc. And a valuable provider of thousands of jobs to that community. Within that oil field also they grow wine grapes, walnuts, potatoes, and they also generate clean water. The oil field actually has the Salinas River running through it, never had an issue of contamination, although they've been operating there since 1947. And what they're able to do is take, majority of what you pull from an oil field is water, it's salt water. And what they do through reverse osmosis is they clean it to a tune of 9 barrels of water for every barrel of oil they pull out, and they're able to clean that water, remineralize it, and percolate it into the Salinas River aquifer 2,400 acre feet a year. That's 780 million gallons of fresh, clean water that was otherwise buried hundreds of feet under the ground. And that's clean and safe enough where the farmers and ranchers, including the Monterey County Farm Bureau, are very happy to have that water and supporting the $4 billion worth of agricultural value that they have there. Oil and gas is regulated by more than 17 state and federal and local organizations, including the California Department of Conservation, and under it the Division of Oil, Gas, and Geothermal Resources, under the leadership of Director John Laird out of Santa Cruz, an avid environmentalist. Other regulation of oil and gas that's included in the presentation is San Benito County that passed a 21-page oil and gas ordinance over last year, including environmental groups, mineral rights owners, members from the industry, etc. That took 9 months to broker that ordinance, and it provides us additional protections for the land use perspective. Besides, California passed Senate Bill 4 in 2013, and that the rules and protections involved in Senate Bill 4 actually went into place on January 1st. That bill had received overwhelming bipartisan support, including Senator Canella and Assemblymember Alejo, both who do not support Measure J. It includes a comprehensive, objective environmental impact report, mandatory disclosure and noticing, including all chemicals used as of January 1st, any chemicals and as much of water that you do use in any areas that you're looking to utilize well injection or well stimulation are disclosed on 2 websites. One is the Division of Oil and Gas and Geothermal Resources, and the other is fracfocus.org. It also includes groundwater monitoring before, during, and after well stimulation treatments. Additional amendments were also released this summer, including bilingual noticing, additional information sharing, no more trade secrets, and seismic network evaluation and earthquake monitoring before, during, and after any kind of treatments. One of the reasons why the moratorium did not pass, although it was a heavy issue here at the state of California, is that in addition to a lack of science and findings of concerns regarding environmental issues, is that industry contribution to the state economy is $131.48 billion. And that money goes towards education, public safety, infrastructure, health and human services, labor and workforce development, natural resources, and environmental protection. It's one of the reasons why there's steadfast support for continuing oil production and natural gas production, and also moving forward with renewable energy. And I do want to address some concerns regarding hydraulic fracturing that has been brought forth in our community. One is the amount of water that's used for hydraulic fracturing. When you fracture a well, it's a one-time well stimulation and completion treatment. It only happens once over a couple hours or a couple days. The amount of water that's used is actually half of an acre foot, which is about half of what it takes to water a golf course in one day, or about a fifth of the size of a swimming pool. The total amount of water that was used to fracture the 830 wells that were stimulated in 2013 in the state of California, which were done in Kern County and Ventura County, where the geology is most appropriate for that type of treatment, was 323 acre feet, which was less than what it took to water golf courses in half of a day. So the total percentage of water used for hydraulic fracturing in California was 0.0005%. 78% was for agriculture. I'd like to bring a couple quotes. One is from the Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Interior. We find no evidence to suggest that hydraulic fracturing itself has caused an increased rate of earthquakes. Another one from the California Department of Conservation. There's no reported damage to the environment as a result of hydraulic fracturing. Another from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. There's little or no risk of fracture fluid contaminating underground sources during hydraulic fracturing. And I also want to bring forth an important quote from Catherine Phillips from the Sierra Club, another proponent of Measure J, is even if we don't get a moratorium or a ban, the threat of it discourages investment in communities, which is very concerning to me. I did do some research regarding the city's policy regarding oil and gas operations, and did find in your general plan update objective LU 2.7 that prohibits land use for or in support of oil gas exploration or development. Also, in addition, is encouraging the County of San Benito to regulate land use within the city's sphere of influence and planning area boundary consistent with LU 2.7.1. So no industrial land use, including oil and gas exploration, within your city limits or within your sphere of influence. It's also important to know what other cities in our region are saying about hydraulic fracturing and the other techniques, including steam injection and acidization. And I did include in my presentation, and within the packet that was circulated to you, I believe, on Friday, was there were unanimous resolutions passed by King City and Greenfield in asking that Monterey County take no further action in regarding further regulation of oil and gas operations because of the value both to the environment but also to the communities that they support. I do think it's important that we also look at Measure J.
Christine, can you just kind of keep everything fair here?
Absolutely.
We're out of 12 minutes, so just maybe summarize and then we can get rolling.
Measure J is a 10-page general plan amendment. It's not just about banning fracking.
Okay.
And as we know, as the proponents of this measure know, hydraulic fracturing or fracking is not used, planned, or proposed in our community. It eliminates good jobs, it goes too far, and as Supervisor Marjorie Bartels has said, if Measure J passes, it would go down as history as the biggest mistake that the county has ever made, and she can articulate that point. I also wanted to conclude with the fact that Measure J is environmentally counterproductive because we have to look at what would replace oil and gas in California if production is concluded, which includes importing it by tankers, by rail car, and also imposing rationing. We also know that Measure J is opposed by people that we know and we trust, including more than 104 individuals that are listed in your presentation, led by the Monterey County Farm Bureau, the Cattlemen, the Cattle Women's Associations, the Chamber of Commerce, California Women for Agriculture. Our campaign is fully financed by energy companies who produce gas, oil, jobs, and pay taxes. And we're very happy that we don't have to raise money for our working families on this issue that has been thrown at our community. And we're feeling that we need to defend ourselves. We also feel that it's important that people get informed by using the facts, by going to third-party respected and neutral authorities, including the organizations and information I've provided you in your packet, including the economic impacts and also environmental impacts, because there is no evidence to prove that hydraulic fracturing has caused environmental issues or environmental harm here in California, but issues like Measure J are.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. Is there any question for the council before she sits down? Okay, thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
What I'm going to do is open it for public hearing. Everybody please have a card. I'm going to limit you to 3 minutes, and that, because we probably got some speakers. And then, so Chris, go ahead and...
John Feed.
I'll pass.
Richard Bianchi.
Thank you very much for the time. Just point of clarification, 7-1 in the bottom of the 8th.
Thank you. We'll give you an extra minute.
As you know, my name is Richard Bianchi. I'm president of San Benito County Farm Bureau. And it's no secret, Farm Bureau came out opposed to Measure J early on. As you've been told, there's no fracking in San Benito County. There's no secret about that either. One thing I will agree with one of the previous speakers, this is probably one of the most controversial issues, probably since, if you remember, Measure G. And Farm Bureau came out opposed to Measure G. And oddly enough, we come out opposed to Measure J as same as Measure G. And for Farm Bureau, it's real simple. It's about property rights. You're limiting property owners' right to do what they want without any, or what they want, what they would like, or what they would need to do to preserve their land, without any sound science. And everything that everything that I've seen, I've had conversations with people that said, "Oh no, we have the science," and it doesn't seem to produce itself. Farm Bureau. Being a Farm Bureau, one of our crusades or one of our services we provide to our membership is helping them work through the ag waiver process and preserving our groundwater. So that's of utmost importance to farmers. If anybody thought for a moment that we don't appreciate our water, we live by our water. It was alluded to Monterey County. If you don't think that anybody in northern Monterey County would be worried about the oil wells in the south, I think every one of them would be, because of the agriculture that's there. Having conversations, looking at the news, nobody's clamoring. So to say that we're going to have failing wells is a bit of a reach. Being in Region 5 for the Regional Water Quality Control Board, we're dealing with a host of water quality issues, as I'm sure you people have. I've seen the water issues that San Juan's had, but none of Region 5's constituents that they're talking about that are contaminating the groundwater having to do with the oil industry. So the water argument seems to be a little bit unfounded in this case. So Farm Bureau is all about water, all about property rights. So I appreciate the time.
Next speaker, please.
Brad Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Brad Sullivan. I was asked by my law partner, Paul Ravella, to speak tonight. Paul has 2 sick daughters and a wife that was not quite home yet. I guess she was stuck in that drive. So he got me off the practice football field at Hollister High, getting ready for Seaside, because we wanted to talk about 2 things tonight. There is going to be 2 lawsuits that are going to come out of this instantly. And I was sitting here trying to understand why would that be relevant to the city of San Juan Bautista. And it became very clear as I was sitting here and I was hearing you talk about environmental health. because of this fire and potential impacts there. The fire department that the city of Hollister and the county and everyone's working together, a main part of that is the money that the county had been paying to CAL FIRE. Is making it better for everybody, the two cities especially. The county is going to be in a situation where they have to defend two lawsuits. One from the state saying this is irrelevant and it's preempted by state law. The other one is by the the landowners, the owners of the property rights for takings. The county is already taking steps to take that from the hundreds of millions to maybe the low hundreds of millions by setting their amortization time, which means, as you as city council know, when you have a use that's been grandfathered in and you discontinue it, you may have to pay damages. So you try to limit those by providing a period of time to do it. Now, normally when you have a developer or a proponent coming, you make them pay your legal fees. The people who signed these petitions and the people who promoted it are not going to be paying the hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees per month to defend the legality, the constitutionality of this. And I think that is clear from the actions of the Board of Supervisors today in trying to lower the amount of money they will have to pay in damages if this by passing ordinances. But it's also clear that although some of the individual members, and there may even be a majority of the supervisors, have professed support for this, they didn't. They had an opportunity when the promoters brought the initiative to the board to make it the law of the county. They declined. So I would be asking you to really think hard the impact to your city that's going to come about if the county ends up filing a law or having to defend a lawsuit. The city of Hermosa Beach paid got a $100 million loan from the state of California to pay their property rights takings cases because of a citizens' rights action. And that's a lot of money, and I don't think anyone in this county can afford that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker card, please.
Maureen Rupp.
Live and die by water. My name is Maureen Ruck, and I'm a member of California, Monterey County, and San Benito County for Energy Independence. I'm also a development consultant. I consult with oil, gas, and minerals. I have to tell you, I want to tell you something about cyclic steaming. And this gentleman has it wrong. 19% fill rate, nobody would be using it. That's too costly. So let me tell you something about cyclic steaming. Cyclic steaming gives 2,000 acre-feet of water every year back to the Salinas River out of the San Ardo field. Okay? That water is otherwise not available. There isn't a person in this room or in this county that wants to go out and try to get that water because you have to drill for oil to get that water. 90% of what comes up is water, 10% is oil. They split it. Water goes this way, oil goes that way. Part of that water goes back down. It's cleaned. It goes back down and allows for that steam. It goes through a generator, gets hot, and goes back down into the ground and is reused over and over. Part of the water goes through a patented double RO process. Patented, okay? And they're using this more and more in fields. That water is cleaned, then it goes out to some ponds, and it sits for a couple of days in these clay-layered ponds because it's distilled water. Then it has to naturalize. Once it goes through there, then it goes to another set of ponds, and it actually percolates back down into the Salinas River aquifer. Oil, you know what I'm saying? Cyclic steaming, you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Cyclic steaming adds water, and in this kind of a drought, who wants to throw that water out? That water is precious to the farmers in Salinas. It's also precious to the farmers in Kern County. And by the way, talking about the cease and desist order in Kern County, there's been no resolution to that. It does not appear. It was in caution of abundance because of the drought that they asked for cease and desist order for everybody to stop injecting so that they could analyze if there were going to be any impacts, because water purveyors are going deeper and deeper and deeper. So the cease and desist order was literally to just have everybody stop, step back, and take a look and see. So far, the resolution has been no pollution has occurred. So let's really talk about cyclic steaming, and Measure J throws that right out with fracking and everything else that's going on or isn't going on here in San Benito County. Fracking's not going on here in San Benito County or Monterey County. Cyclic steaming will give you back a considerable amount of distilled water, very, very, very clean water for ag and other uses. So I don't know that you want to throw that out, okay? So please think twice about this. Thank you.
Next speaker, Clark.
Chris Martirana.
Hi, Chris Martirana, 97 4th Street. I live here in town, as do all of you, and in my driving around town, I see lots and lots and lots and lots of signs covering this issue. I can think of one no on J sign within the city limits. There may be more, but I can only think of one. There are 4 on the block, yes on J signs on the block of 4th Street that I live on. It's very, very, very clear to all of us what the citizens of San Juan Bautista want to happen here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Chris. Next speaker, Clark, please.
Dr. Marvin Jones.
Dr. Marvin? Dr. Marvin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Marvin Jones from Hollister. Got very little to add above what's already been said. The geology of San Benito County, with all of its faults, foes, discontinuities, it's not conducive to the horizontal drilling that you need to have viable fracking. Just won't go there. Also, Mr. Sullivan alluded to the potential cost of the violation of the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, the taking clause, without compensation. I don't think anyone is going to indemnify San Benito County for the legal fees. And if and when this ever gets resolved in the courts, if there's any actual awards for taking of oil, it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be us taxpayers that will end up paying for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Next speaker, Clark, please.
I have Andy Chaperon and then Mary. Mary Chaperon.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I live between here and Aromas. The reason I wanted to speak today is to just point out that for our county, the average citizen, there's very little benefit to allow the oil companies to come in and start doing the enhanced extreme extraction techniques like fracking, cyclic steam, and acidizing. It's true we do have an existing oil industry, but they're using conventional drilling that's not going to be affected. What we are objecting to, the supporters of Measure J, are the more risky techniques that are moving north. They're already being used in Coalinga, just as south of us, in Fresno County, further south in Kern County, and San Ardo. What we're trying to do is sort of staunch this technology that's moving into our county. It's already started near the Pinnacles, the Citadel project, the cyclic steam injection. I just want to address, so anyway, just to go back to the risk, I think that there's a lot of risk here. There's not much benefit to the average citizen in this county, and the benefits really go to the oil companies. To take on the risk, to become like a Coalinga in our area is, I think, not advisable. They talk about the economic benefits, but Coalinga is a very poor community. They have a lot of oil. If you look up Wikipedia, Coalinga, they have higher poverty rate than the rest of the state. So oil has not really helped the average citizen. I don't think it will really help our community. I think our future is really in tourism and agriculture. And in Kern County, the use of water by the oil industry there, and a lot of it is cyclic steam, some of it is fracking, they have found that the farmers are not getting as much water because they're often outcompeted by the oil industry. So there is a competition between these two industries. It's not that compatible. And certainly with tourism, if we have a massive oil field, this is 1,000 oil wells outside of Pinnacles. It was in the recent Farm Bureau report. That also would, jeopardize our tourism economy. So we have to think about, the trade-offs here. Does it really benefit our community to become like Coalinga? Will we lose tourism and jeopardize our agriculture industry? I also want to quickly address the cyclic steam injection wastewater. The recycling that's being done in San Ardo, a lot of that is for show. The reverse osmosis is very expensive. They cannot do that for all the produced water, the wastewater. They have, if you look up in the Dogger reports, they have many wastewater injection wells. That's dispose of most of that water because it costs so much to do reverse osmosis. Regarding the takings issue, which the attorney here for the oil industry has mentioned, Measure J contains a lot of exemptions to protect the county from takings, and those exemptions, we think, will make it so that it's much more defensible. The ballot measure has been, uses language that really just talks about using zoning and land use. It's based on the fact that this state is a home rule state. Local jurisdictions like our county are allowed to use zoning and land use to regulate activities like heavy industry, like oil and gas. And in states like New York, another home rule state, the courts have upheld again and again the right of local communities to ban fracking. There were 200 communities in New York that banned fracking or had a moratorium, and just this summer, their highest court ruled that they were allowed to do that. And so in the case of New York, the gas industry has repeatedly lost. So I just wanted to clarify those points. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker card.
Supervisor Margie Barrios.
Mayor,
I thought that was you out there.
That was me. But I want to make it clear, first of all, that I'm not here representing the Board of Supervisors. I'm here as an individual supervisor, and actually I'm in the minority because I was the only one on the board that opposed Measure J. I believe that some of them are really now rethinking their decisions after all the information that is coming out and the facts that are before us now. The measure is going to cost San Benito County millions upon millions of dollars. And I will tell you why. I'm going to read to you the County Council's impartial analysis of Measure J. Our County Council wrote this: the initiative states that the county shall take all steps reasonably necessary to enforce and defend the initiative against any challenge. Folks, that is wide open. There's no limit to the amount of money that is going to be spent in order to defend this initiative. And the property owners that are going to be affected by this, they're not going to sit back. They're not going to sit back and let extreme environmentalists come in and dictate what they can and cannot do with their constitutional rights that are going to be taken away. There is no fracking in San Benito County. There's no plan to frack in San Benito County. Our hands actually are going to be tied. They're going to be tied because we're not going to be able to gain our own energy independence. It's wrong. It's extreme. There's no proof that earthquakes are caused by fracking. There's no proof that there has been water contamination. We've been doing oil extraction for over 100 years, and it's been working. There has never been any sign that contamination has been as a cause of those extractions. Some people fault me for saying that I believe that these are scare tactics, but you know what? I really firmly believe that they are. Just the way that we were scared into thinking that BLM property had to be closed at Clear Creek because of an emergency situation when there was no proof, nobody had reported any kind of illness. That's the same thing that's happening here. There is no proof. And because it's been used for over 100 years that we've been extracting oil with no activity, earthquake, or contamination, I believe that these scare tactics are going to cause folks to become confused. And if you see a lot of signs, it's because people really don't understand it. They're scared. They haven't really been explained what this measure really is. If Measure J passes, it will go down in history. And I will say this again, Christina mentioned it. I said it at a board meeting. It's going to be the biggest mistake that this county has ever made, because not only will it affect the property rights, it'll also affect the economy, and it'll affect oil independence for Americans. And the list is really long. There's a lot more that is going to affect us in a very negative way. So the only way that we can avoid risk is to vote no on Measure J, and that's the position that I'm going to continue to take. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Marie. I might have a question down the road, that you may want to, I'll ask you a question when it comes to, don't leave. Now, next speaker card?
There are no other speakers.
Is there anybody that, Joe, come on up. Please fill out a card. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity, and then I'm going to close it, and that's going to be it. And then we'll bring it back to the council. So is there anybody else? Fill out a card.
I filled out a card.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you'll be next. Well, he can, yeah, you'll be next.
You have to.
Okay,
anyway,
Joe.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to address you and in regard to this particular issue. It's this Measure J is about oil extraction, but it is also about local power, and it is absolutely astonishing that a local lawyer and the Cattlemen's Association would come and deliver what amounts to a threat to the county and to the city council, a threat from the oil companies that if you pass what you think is the right thing to do for your county, we're going to sue you. What red-blooded American would sit back and say, okay, I guess we're not going to do what we want to do. We don't think it's right, therefore, or we think it's right, but the oil companies are going to sue us, so we're going to back off. That is absolutely unjustifiable thinking, in my view. Energy independence. There is no energy independence when you are connected to a world commodity market. It's a nonsensical term. You want energy independence, you have to extract yourself from the marketplace so that you control your own market. There are ways of doing this, but you can't do it if you're buying and selling from oil companies. They are not charitable organizations. They are not going to take care of the United States of America if a market somewhere else pays them the money to go somewhere else with their oil or their gas. The EPA says there's no evidence. Every day in the newspaper you can find evidence that there are problems with cyclic steam, fracking, matrix acidizing. In California, right across in Bakersfield, last week, 2 weeks ago, there was an article about farmers suing oil companies. Why? Because their farm water, their ag water, has been polluted. Their ag production is lowered because of alleged contamination. Where this will play out, we don't really know, but that the EPA would say there is no evidence would lead me to believe that I can't trust the EPA. They are not going to defend my interest in my water. Property rights. There's no taking of property rights. The speculators who bought the mineral rights in the Bitterwater Valley 100 years ago have been hoping for 100 years that they would be able to somehow get value from their investment. Right now, we have said, with these particular things, with these particular practices, you can't get value from your investment. You have to come up with a better means of getting value from your investment that maintains the integrity of our investment in the surface rights. 2,000 acre-feet of water, that's a lot of water. Guess what? If we improve the effective water cycle on our rangelands, there's 1 million acres in this county of rangeland. We can improve by 2,000 acre-feet of water through management of ecosystem processes. You don't have to have cyclic steam injection and depend on oil companies to give us a few more gallons of water for their oil. $1.8 million has been spent on this in this county to tell us that our measure goes too far. Is it too far to go to defend our groundwater? Is it too far to go to defend our right to have a beautiful tourism economy?
Mr. Morris, you're about a minute over.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to keep
Appreciate it.
everybody
No,
on
I hear you.
pace there.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Sir, come on up. Sorry we missed you. We don't have a lot of people here all the time like this.
My name is Stephen Shear, Dr. Shear. And I'm sorry I didn't get dressed up for the occasion. I literally walked out of the emergency department at Hazel Hawkins and came here. So I just finished the shift. So I'm here to speak for Measure J, and I want to talk to the people that are against Measure J, because for those of you that have decided to vote for it, great, thank you. But I will trade conservative credentials with anybody in this room. I may not beat you, but I'll match you. I'm a 10-year Army veteran. I just stepped back from being the chief of the emergency department at the VA in Palo Alto, and I'm an emergency medicine physician. So I deal with risk decisions every minute that I work. I make high-risk decisions all the time. So I want to ask the people in Measure J, okay, I get it. You don't want the government in your business. I get it.
You're addressing the councils, right?
But I'm also addressing you guys.
They can hear you. They can hear you.
So I make, what I would like to say is that, let's say we have all our, you have your Measure J folks have their experts, and the other side has their own experts, and we can, all the experts disagree. Then I have to point out to you, then what is all these cases that are hundreds of cases throughout this nation that have gone and been settled for amounts that are variable, but there's one thing that's always the case that's always true for each settled case is there's always a clause for silence. And the people that settle to get their money back from their polluted groundwaters is that they buy their silence and they don't speak up. And so these are people that made decisions to frack their land and then contaminated their water. In order to get their money back out of their property, they had to sign something that said, I will be quiet. I will not tell you what I got for my land and for my settlement. And by the way, their land is useless because their groundwater is contaminated. So I ask you, and I'm a risk taker, I ask you, is it worth the risk? If we take the oil companies' statistics, 6% of all these fracking wells fail right off in the first year. That's their statistics, not ours, theirs. So let's just take their statistics. This is their data. Would you want to take a 6% chance that you, your children, and your grandchildren will no longer live in San Benito County because your water aquifer is spoiled and destroyed? I take risks every day. I don't think that's a risk we're taking here. And I think you guys, and I don't care threats of lawyers or whatever, you need to do the right thing. You need to say, no, that's not a risk that is worth taking. And the citizens of this county are speaking very loudly to you and saying, we don't think that's a risk we're taking. So I think you should vote against fracking.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Anybody else who would like to speak before I close it and bring it back to the council? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back for the council for discussion. Who wants to go? Joanne, anybody?
Well, I'll start it. I have to agree with the last speaker. I just can't see the risk involved. I mean, the oil companies can tell you, oh no, everything's going to be fine, and it may be. But why take the chance? Why do we need it? And that's just my opinion. I can't see putting our water at risk.
Okay, Jolene?
I'll go further. I'll agree with the last two speakers who, I mean, we had a lot of good speakers on both sides, but the last two speakers made some of the best points. And one of them I kind of take to heart because he said, do we really want to not vote for something that we think is right because we're afraid of a lawsuit? And I think the answer is we should vote yes on Measure J if that's what we believe is the correct thing to do.
Rick, anything?
I wish I had the materials we got tonight sooner. I don't know why they're coming at the last minute. This has been on the agenda for a while. But, you know, in looking through the stuff that we did get earlier, this King City ordinance says, whereas there is no currently proposed hydraulic fracturing in the San Ardo oil field, and someplace else here, I've got too many pieces of paper up here, was a comment that fracturing is not used now nor is not proposed in San Benito County. Well, I mean, that's not a promise, that's not a guarantee, that's nothing. So it's not. The thing is, the minute that cyclic steam injection or whatever it is and these other methods fail to produce the oil that is still down there, they'll go to fracturing. They don't want to ban it because that's the ace in the hole. The whole thing is, you know, when you look at issues like this, and you know, the people on one side are retired teachers and everyday people like us, and the people on the other side are the oil companies with $1.9 million to put into a county of 55,000 people. You know, really? Really? So I'm sorry, you know, everything that the speakers said tonight was very impressive, but nobody's putting it all together and coming up with unbiased opinions. You know, the EPA and all these other agencies, I have no faith in the CDC had to go out and hire an Ebola czar because they're charged with controlling diseases, and yet they can't handle Ebola without a czar. The CPUC is charged with overseeing PG&E, and look at what's going on up there. You know, we have all these government entities that are charged with regulating something, and they get in bed with the people they're supposed to regulate and don't regulate anything at all. So I'm even suspicious of, what is it, DOGGR or whatever it is. But I'm sorry. Oh yeah, the IRS. No, they might audit me. So, you know, the arguments tonight were very impressive, but I've got to go back to, you know, where's the money in this thing? And the bottom line here is that the oil companies are opposed to Measure J, not because of what it is going to do to anybody's property rights other than theirs. It's because they stand to make a lot of money if it doesn't pass. And, you know, Measure J allows standard well drilling to continue, except in the areas right around the city of Hollister and the city of San Juan. But all out in the county that's not close to the cities, it can continue. What Measure J is going after is the fracturing and the enhanced methods. And I think there's a lot of evidence, if you read all the materials that have been coming out ever since this got going, there's a lot of evidence that something is going on. I don't know. I don't ever recall earthquakes going on in Oklahoma. And look at all the earthquakes they've had. And they've been doing fracturing. So that's my piece.
Yeah, I look at it and you know, it's just another measure that was written bad. And they didn't isolate, they just kind of threw it all together to ban, you know, anything and everything. I think if it was rewritten different to where everybody could benefit, there probably would not be an issue with this. There's a lot of concerns on how much the county and the area is going to lose. There's a lot of concerns in, you know, what the outcome could be. I don't want to see anything future, you know, that's going to, you know, ruin the county or the land or even surrounding areas around it. You know, it's a real tough decision in these areas.
You know, Margie, I had a question. You know, a year, 14, 15 months ago, Supervisor Botello and Munzer commenced and put an ordinance together, and I'm surprised that we're here now. What broke down I know they went on for days and put hours in, and I'm like, why are we, how do we ever get to this point with the Measure J people? I don't, I'm trying to, I figured, hey, great, it's solved. You know, a year later, you know, we're you know, this is the controversy of the county.
How did it get so extreme?
Yeah, how did we go from everything being, you know?
I am as surprised about that as you are. We worked over 8 months on that ordinance with the ad hoc committee and with inviting the folks that really wanted to make sure that the wording was in such a way that it would protect our groundwater, it would protect the land, it would protect the environment. And you know, it's funny because when they came to our board meeting, we were applauded for having done and prepared a really good ordinance that did just that. And so I thought we had done it right, and I really still feel that we did it right. And even SB4 that Christina was talking about, I mean, we have regulations in the state of California that we haven't even, you know, really given them an opportunity to prove themselves, and they're strict. They're really going to regulate even stricter regulations than we have as of January the 4th,
so
2014.
SB4 it basically supersedes. I mean, they're I mean, you know, they carry the heavy hammer.
They do, and they,
you know.
actually,
So I mean, that's what I'm you know, like I said, it started. No, hold on. But well, well, hold on. Hey, I'm just asking. Okay, but the SB4 is, you know, is the, you know, the ballot pulpit that says, hey, you're not going to do this, you're going to do that.
Yes, very, very strict, and like Christina said, both, you know, parties supported it, because it is probably one of the harshest regulations that we have ever seen in the state of California. Not that they were not harsh before, but what they have done is they have hired more personnel to make sure that there is no flaw in, I mean, I'm not saying that it cannot, accidents can happen, but they haven't happened because we have such strict regulations in California, and this is going to be even stricter. And they, you know, they came over and made a presentation, Dogger did, to the county, and presented what they, you know, the regulations that they have. So there was no question in my mind that we have protected the county with our ordinance. The state is protecting the state of California with their SB4. So I am as perplexed as you are.
Well, I look at, you know, I'll tell people, I'm a conservative, but I know Alejo from Watsonville. But if this guy is on, I mean, I'm thinking he's the guy that these people, you know, Major J people want in their corner. But I'm perplexed, and it's like it's coming, you know, full circle. My next question is, and I was going to call Jeff Catano today, but you know, time. What's the stance of the county water district? They're the ones that issue wells. I mean, have they come out either way? Maybe you can. I don't know.
What they have said is that there has never been any water contamination. They regulate our water, our groundwater, very, very carefully. It's tested regularly by strict standards that come down by the state of California, and there has never been any water contamination that we can say that the oil extraction has caused.
Okay.
So,
I know, Andy. Do you have something to say? I don't want to.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say something about SB4.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fran Pavley was asked specifically whether SB4 would preempt any further local action, and the answer was no. It does not preempt further local action. So that's, you know, that's one issue. On the other issue of the negotiations of the county ordinance, the group that was involved in the negotiations, ACE, Aromas Cares for its Environment, has endorsed our initiative. So they were not, you know, they were happy to have been done. I've been a negotiator myself. They were happy to have been done with the process. But throughout the process, early on, Manat, the law firm from the oil industry, threatened to sue the county if they were not happy with what came out of those negotiations. So this is not the first threat of suit during this process. So
okay,
yeah, I just wanted to answer those two questions.
Okay, thanks. Well, you know, this is a tough one. I'm at the, you know, I would never want anything to happen to our waterways, but I look at it, this is my way of looking at it, is that if every state, county, city says, not my backyard, no, hypothetically, I know it will never happen, then where do we get our energy from? I mean, I want it to be safe, and I want to have the proper people to be on, looking out, but hey, no, you do it in Monterey County or Kern County. I mean, that's what it's like, that's what worries me. I mean, you're going to get, people are going to start, we're going to start locking up areas, and all of a sudden, where are we getting our oil from? People that are cutting our heads off.
Andy, they're not asking to ban oil drilling. They're asking to ban certain extraction
Jolene, let me
methods.
finish. I think that this thing, wasn't well written. I think people don't read it. I didn't start digging into this thing until 3 or 4 weeks ago. Oh, they got a frack. I cannot support it, but that's just my opinion. If it comes to a vote, that's how I feel. So,
I got to tell you one more thing. I have to agree with Rick. If you really think that the state of California, you can trust them to enforce SB 4, and you really think that the county of San Benito is going to hire people and pay money to go out and inspect these wells, then I don't have a bridge to sell anymore, but I'll sell you some beachfront property right here in San Juan, because that's the thing that gets me. I mean, come on, you guys. Look at the state of California. Some guy wants to build a $90 billion train from LA to San Francisco, and we're just sitting around saying, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Well, it's the same thing with SB 4. Yeah, it's a good idea, but how are you going to enforce it? They don't have the people to do it. They don't have the experts to do it. And
I'm sorry, I know you want to. Is there any other comment from council? Because I'm going to.
I'd like to make a motion
Okay, you can.
that we support the yes on banning fracking, yes on J.
Okay, do I have a second? Rick has a second. Okay, any further discussion? Call for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Bach?
Aye.
Councilmember Edge?
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund?
Nay.
Mayor Moore?
No. 3-2, the yes passed. Thank you for being real cooperative. Thank you.
Congratulations, Joe.
Okay, I'm going to do one thing here, if the council will agree. I want to move, let's see here, I don't even know.
7C.
Let's see, we said, okay, item number 7, number C, I want to move to 1, first alarm. They've been here the whole time. So hey, first alarm, I'm going to move you guys up. Julie, you guys are, hey.
We're next?
Yeah, you're next.
Oh my goodness. Probably should have put it before it.
I'm sorry, I owe you.
should have put fracking at the end, man.
Remember what you told me earlier?
I know, I knew this was going to be a long night.
It's all right.
Hey.
So I'd like to pass this out to people. Since I didn't bring a PowerPoint because I wasn't sure if we'd have power.
Did I have
After the crafting discussion.
They were all peaceful. It was good. That's what our society's about.
Hello, Mayor Moore and Council. I'm Julie Doyle with First Alarm Security and Patrol. I've been asked to speak here in regards to the City of San Juan Bautista's safety and patrol. And I've brought along my colleague Shay Alkerley from the Santa Cruz branch, and he also does downtown patrol for Santa Cruz County. So I'll let him speak first.
Hello, good evening, folks. I'm just going to give a little bit of history about the program that we started in Santa Cruz. The Downtown Security Pilot Program was created by Santa Cruz Police Chief Kevin Vogel and I. We started the program September 3rd, 2010. As a one-month trial program, we wanted the security officers to interact with the public and help with directions for tourists and remind folks of the municipal codes. The officers use a police radio on a secondary police channel. On a typical day, for a typical shift, the officers start out by clearing out the homeless storefronts, checking side streets, and checking the nooks and crannies. Once all the homeless have been moved along, they proceed to give directions to tourists and stop and say hi to all the shop owners, try to build a relationship with those folks. The security officers have become a good second-hand or second set of eyes and witness for the police department in the city, and they've also assisted with many arrests. The first month trial was so successful, the chief and I now have 2 shifts downtown, a 10-hour shift that starts at 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and a second shift that comes on at 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. And also we've added 3 additional locations within the city limits, the Santa Cruz Wharf and the Harvey West Business District in City Hall, to help protect city council members and the mayor. I'm not sure if your folks' homeless problem is as bad as Santa Cruz's, but it's kind of...
We had one once.
Julie, does anybody have any questions?
You know, I just wanted to, when I got into this thing, your capabilities of issuing parking citations from parkers, registered. Okay, that's fine.
I just wanted him to speak on the
No,
downtown.
that's fine. I want you to cover all that so everybody
Absolutely,
knows.
I will cover all that. I just wanted him to
Okay.
speak on his program downtown Santa Cruz. So
Okay.
if you had any questions on what he does and then what we spoke of, I'm going to go ahead and tackle, and that's what
Okay.
Yeah, it's been very successful. We've helped out the police department in the city in many ways.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Julie.
Thank you once again for inviting us. I'd like to say it's been an honor to get to know what your needs are. I had absolutely no idea what your safety and security needs were in this town. I actually come to this town and enjoy your festivities, your festivals. I work for Williams Productions when we do their festivals here in the town. We cover your nighttime gatherings, but we do not cover the daytime stuff. So we're not out here. We do not know what your parking situation is in the town. However, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've spent a lot of time out here. We've done a courtesy patrol for you all during the nighttime hours, and I'm not sure if you really realize that we have a month's worth of activity reports that our officers have been out here locating what's going on in the town. There's not a lot to report that's going on in the town. This is directly after you've had your incident with the little robberies that you had here. There wasn't a whole lot to report as far as activity, but there is a lot of things that are going on here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. And you guys have a variety of tourists and a variety of bikers and a variety of just different elements. I sat here on Friday night at Hardine's restaurant for 3 hours, and I enjoyed my dinner, and I came out and I saw there was 4 people standing on the street in front of Daisy's or Mom and Pop, sorry, and I recognized what was going on in the town. So I see what the mayor and the city manager are looking for. They're actually looking for a modicum of security in the town at night once the shop owners have closed. So I put together a proposal, a PowerPoint. It doesn't have any numbers in it. We haven't discussed any times, days of the week, or anything like that. We just wanted to bring to your attention what it is we've been talking about and kind of get your minds rolling around it. So our community patrol officer for the town would be an ambassador for the city. It'd provide customer service to the visitors and bring a new safety aspect to the downtown area. I'm on page 2. The hours of service determined by the council have not been determined. The hours that we have discussed is an 8-hour officer, 7 days a week. We've also discussed having an officer make nightly rounds, 1.5 hours in length, up to 3 times a night. That would be having a guy come in with a vehicle, making a round 3 times a night. It takes about an hour and a half. I've done the round myself, looking in every nook and cranny, not just downtown. The mayor has asked if we could do parking citations. Yes, we can. We have to be given that opportunity by the council to give us the jurisdiction to do that. We've seen the citation books. We absolutely can write those citations. We've talked about on a number of things, for broken windows, for parking violations, somebody parked in the handicap, somebody parked somewhere they're not supposed to, fire lane, anything like that, we can absolutely do that. We've talked about a number of things, people speeding up and down the main boulevard. That's something we can talk about in the future, but that is something that we can do. I've proposed 3 different options on page 3. We just talked about the option of the 1.5 hours. It goes, we can do 1 time a day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day. We talked about the hours between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. We can do 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. We can do whatever hours we want. We can get, this is an a la carte, and we can curtail it to something that you guys are looking for. We can do 8 hours a night. I've also thought, and long and hard about this, we can do a 10-hour shift, maybe from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. That seems like those are the days that you really need it. Those are the days I've experienced out here. And that would also give you the officer out here during your festivals. It won't give you the daytime officer, it will give you the nighttime officer, and we can provide a daytime officer for the parking situation during the day. So I've given you the options. On the last pages, I've given you articles from the newspapers that we do in downtown Santa Cruz, also that we do in Santana Row in the city of San Jose. And if there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
What's the level of powers of arrest you have? I mean, if there's an incident going on, how far involved can the officer get?
So we can detain in handcuffs and call for the authorities.
Okay. At what level of, is it?
Well, we basically are making
or?
a citizen's arrest, and they can be armed. They can also be taser. We have taser certified officers. We have armed officers. We have officers with just pepper spray and baton. You pick and choose what you want, and it's the level of the officer that you want is the level that you're going to be paying for, obviously.
Okay.
I can speak on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, for example, if a citizen walks up to the security officer and says, "Hey, I saw this man punch this woman," he would then have to call the police because it's secondhand information.
Right.
Now, if the security officer saw the man punch the woman, he could actually place him under arrest and put him in cuffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would sign a citation and appear in court to testify against that person.
So any secondary information, then they'd call in local authority
Yes,
on
sir.
top of that.
And then they would figure out and do their investigation and find out the truth.
We actually just had that happen this afternoon at Sherwood Gardens in Salinas, and my guy actually saw the gentleman hit the woman in the face, went over to have the gentleman stand, behind the vehicle to arrest him, and he got in the car, the woman got in the car, and obviously they didn't want to be arrested, so they took off. But we got the good license plate, and the police did arrested the gentleman.
And one of the topics about speeding, I know in the past, First Alarm had worked out a deal with the CHP on private property up at past the Temple HOA, where we actually gave the officers a red light and a speed gun and actually pulled folks over and gave them a citation. So that's something that we could put in communication with CHP to possibly do.
That would have to be the sheriff's office, correct? Because they have the jurisdiction there.
How inviting would they be to work with you on that?
I know that they got it past Cal Horton. I'm not sure if you...
Well, Santa Cruz is a little bit different because Cal Horton is born and bred there. So I'm not born and bred in the city of San Juan Bautista nor in the San Benito County. I'm in Monterey County. But I do have a really good working relationship with the county sheriff as well as the city of Hollister's police department.
So would you need a memorandum of understanding with the sheriff's department?
For what, sir?
An MOU?
For any enforcement that you do?
No, well, for parking citations or for citizens
speeding,
arrests.
right? Like
Yeah,
speeding.
particularly
For speeding,
traffic.
yes, we would have to.
Okay.
Yes.
Julie, explain this to me. So a private security officer has the ability to pull somebody over?
This was a deal made with the CHP and First Alarm. So it has to be in conjunction with the law enforcement agency of your city.
But that was on private drive.
That was on private property.
Up in
On
Pasatiempo.
Pasatiempo.
These are city
This is city
streets.
streets.
Okay, I got you.
I'm not sure how that.
Yeah, it would have to literally be private.
Yeah, that'd
property.
probably
that would get
that'd be a
kinda
tough
crazy.
area.
Yeah, it would have to be private property.
But I personally think after we have that incident, I don't know what the rest of the council members think. I think it's going to be a while. Talking to Captain Taylor today, they basically are just putting new people in training. It didn't work out with the other person in training. After that incident, with Rogers or whatever you guys figure out, especially like Friday, Saturday, in the evenings, the families are out eating, have somebody rolling around maybe for auto birds or whatever. But after that incident, I'm sure everybody's phone was ringing. And I said, well, you know what? We need to step up and do something. Have some eyes and ears in town while everybody's sleeping, and and keeping an eye on everything. So that was my vision. And my other question is, what other city? I know that Monterey's thinking about going.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, because that was on the KSBW this morning. Salinas is.
Salinas is looking at a parking enforcement program.
Okay.
And it's in 6 districts.
Any other cities or counties that?
Besides Santa Cruz, we do Santana Row.
We did in the past cite vehicles on city streets for the city of Capitola and SoCal at one point.
Now, you guys still do the beach up Highway 1 during the summer?
We do the beach in Aptos now, and I think that follows under the sheriff's jurisdiction.
Right.
And of course, we do the County of Monterey. We give the citations at the government building as well as at Natividad Hospital.
Okay, well.
And those are county-driven citations, so those go before the county.
I don't.
So,
Go ahead, John.
so for the city, we're talking about parking violations you could do. Speeding tickets, probably
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Moving violations, no. Speeding tickets, yes. You mentioned a homeless problem. Any homeless people we have seem to live in a trailer somewhere. You can cite,
that's not homeless.
yeah, but these are not legal places for them to live. You can cite that also?
Well, it depends on what your regulations are in your city.
Yeah, you can enforce city
regulations.
Codes and ordinances.
Municipal codes.
Municipal codes. And that would be pretty important, I would think, in addition to the idea of having some patrols, particularly during events and that kind of thing. What about one of the issues that we have sometimes, and not always around festivals, just like you said, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, is what I would call loitering. Can you deal with that sort of thing? Because it would be a city code, I would think.
If it's municipal, then you can. They
As
would
long as
follow
it's
under
a
our
city-
municipal code, right?
Correct. If they're
You can say
loitering
move
on
along
city
or-
sidewalks, it's your city code, it's your ordinance. It's your
Okay.
I do know that the city council of Santa Cruz had gotten together a couple of times to review park settings and redo the laws for camping, so to speak, for some of the homeless, but also tell them the category for kids skateboarding on bicycles, all the things that would disrupt or hurt somebody on the sidewalk. We can address those
Can I
issues.
ask one question? You use the term stationary officer here. Now, we had a stationary officer and it didn't work out. What does that mean?
The stationary officer means that they're not going to get in their vehicle and leave your city limits in that time frame that they're here.
They're not?
So they'll stay within the San Juan Bautista city limits. So
In their car?
Correct.
Oh,
But they're not going to leave during that 8-hour shift. They're
Right.
going to be
Okay.
stationary here for that 1.5 hours or that 8 hours, whatever it should be.
Whatever you decide to have them row, if you say, let's just do half-foot patrol on these 5 blocks and
And then
maybe drive down to the
drive-
park at the end and then come back.
It just means that they're your officer for that amount of time. They're stationary in the city.
As opposed to the patrol, the vehicle patrol, they would come in for the hour and a half and leave for 3 or 4 hours.
And go to another city or go do whatever else they have to do.
And then come back.
Yeah.
So-
No, that's, like I say, it's kind of an inside joke. We did have a station.
I know, I've heard.
Yeah. So table 8 cost proposal is not here,
It
correct?
is not there, and there's a reason for it not being there, because we haven't discussed what you want. I can't give you a cost on things if we don't know if there's a vehicle involved, if there's a stationary officer involved, if it's going to just be vehicular patrol, or if it's actually going to be a 4-day, 10-hour shift. So I have to know all those things in order to put it in a cost proposal. So
Okay.
if we were able to come to some sort of idea of what it is you want, we can give you costs on those different ideas.
So if we come up with 3 different proposals, you can
Yes.
cost out those 3
Yes.
different proposals, and we
Yes.
can say, we can afford that, we can't afford this.
Yes.
You know, we kind of look at having, a single officer here, if that, the backup, what,
Our backup is our vehicular patrol.
okay,
And they do the Hollister Elementary School District, we do all of Hollister, so they're literally 10 minutes away.
okay.
In Santa Cruz, they actually carry police radios.
So they can
Their
monitor,
backup
like,
could be 2
county
hours
comm?
away with the sheriffs, because he could be in Los Banos.
So, I would think that the thing that we should sit down with Captain Taylor and you guys, and I mean, there's no use having you both here at the
Doubling
same
it.
time.
No sense doubling it up, right?
Yeah.
Well, except sheriffs can do a little different thing. They can do
Well,
the
I mean,
vehicle,
they're on
the
call
moving
anyway.
violations, yeah.
So, but if we have one of your officers, 3-6 hours a night on, like you say, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, that seems to be when our most problems are. And then also, it might work out on a temporary basis to have somebody on Saturday afternoon on Main Street.
Well, we can, off camera, discuss times.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so
We're already,
The reason why I brought this forward, and I'm glad you came, is the incident took place, and I just wanted to get a dialogue from the council. Do you want to proceed? And then kind of picking up on, following up on different cities and counties using private security. I said, I just thought a first alarm, and if the council says, hey, I think this is a good idea to proceed with, look into, and get some pricing.
A good point of reference would be Mayor Lynn Robinson. She's a big advocate of using security. Chief Vogel in Santa Cruz, I'm sure would be a good reference.
And that's all in your proposal that I gave you.
I think at this point here, the direction is if you want to pursue it, then we'll get together and decide the level of coverage and then we can give that to them and they can cost it out. Then we have to come back and see how we can fit that into the financial budget of the city.
I think legally.
Because they have to have some sort of what we want, and then we can cost it out. And then we'll start.
Legally, you're going to want some kind of liability assessment
That's
too,
what I was-
because if they're carrying tasers and they're carrying guns on your streets, they're going to have an airtight agreement where they're going to be responsible if they tase somebody or if they shoot somebody. And I'm sure Santa Cruz has looked at those issues, but you might want to have somebody, we can do that, where you
That
take
would
a look
probably
at
fall
Santa
back on-
Cruz and get the liability down.
Liability, it would fall back on.
That would fall
us
back
and
on the
individuals
bond,
that we
your
hire.
bond.
However, I'm not sure that you were actually looking for a taser certified officer nor anybody with a gun. I think that they were looking for a uniformed unarmed officer.
And citizens arrests also, there's some liability on accepting a citizen arrest. I don't think the officers always like to do that, so you want to look at that too and discuss that with your sheriff's department.
Is there any interest on council on extending this special meeting we're having on the 3rd to include a short study session on what hours we think might be appropriate?
Yeah, I'm fine. There won't be any camera. Yeah, that's fine. You want to come back on the 3rd?
Oh, I can come back on the 3rd.
Really, no, we don't really need them back. Yeah.
Okay, you can
This
say.
would be for us to discuss.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then we'll get with you. or
And come
whatever
up with
you
a few different scenarios,
Yeah.
and they can cost them
Sounds
out.
good to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks. And then let me open it up for public comments. Anybody like to speak on this issue?
Thank you very much.
Bobby. Oh, no. Hey, first,
Reed,
what,
1133 Salinas Road.
what's the score first?
I think that one of the missing pieces for me listening to this is local knowledge. If you're going to have someone on the street who's going to be hosting people and helping people find things in town, or being able to identify who in town might be on the streets that they might need to pay attention to, I think it's really helpful to have that local knowledge. So if there's an opportunity here for a local person who may have the skills and licensing requirement, can be trained, I think it'd be great to be able to hire someone locally to walk the streets and play that role. I've spent too much time interacting with sheriffs who are unfamiliar with the town and don't know who they should be suspicious of and who they should not be suspicious of. And I think that the learning curve for somebody new coming into town and being able to have that information is fairly steep. It takes a while to figure out what's going on in San Juan. So I would question whether part of this could be perhaps a training program to bring in local people.
I can say one thing, the gentleman that I met,
for a job?
who was the night that we had talked, who was the young man that,
Calvin Seabrand.
and he lives off,
in Hollister.
Spring Grove Road and went to Hollister
Yes.
High. And he was here, but, you know,
You don't happen to have anyone in the city?
No, I do have people that live in San Juan Bautista.
You do?
Oh, I do. I don't necessarily think that, and to be honest with you, I don't necessarily think you want somebody that lives in your town.
No.
To be honest with you. And the reason why I say that is because when you live in a small town, you know everybody in the small town. You want safety and security. You don't want somebody to be your friend. You want to make sure that they're protecting you and your own.
Right, but you want someone who knows the town.
Well, I can guarantee you, with a short period of time, the security officers that are there day and night, or night and night, they get to know people. They get to know them really quickly because that becomes their job. That's their second home. Is they're 8 hours or 10 hours a day. They know who's on the streets and they start to figure it out. I know a lot about people in Salinas that I've never met. So, I mean, we know. We get it. And I just say that because I've been working in Hollister very, very closely since December 1, 2013. And I know more people in Hollister than I've ever known my whole entire life, and I live 25 minutes down the road. So.
okay, thanks, Joe. Is there anybody else?
Actually, this one is actually kind of cool for me. I used to be on a HOA board of directors for 6-7 years. I was president of the board for 6-7 years, and we dealt with security issues and armed guards and went through several contract negotiations. And I understand Bob's concern. What I found with the guards that we used at Downer Estates in San Jose, probably one of the largest HOAs in San Jose, was that although short term, they might not know exactly where things are to give directions and stuff. In time, they kind of get the lay of the land and how kind of how the culture is for the city, which way to go, how to do. So I'm not so much worried about that short term maybe. Question was, the other question I had was armed or not. You already answered that. How far into a citizen's arrest will they get into? Do they get into physical dragging down? Obviously, it comes down to what's the crime they're trying to suppress versus, you know, if it's somebody beating the hell out of someone, then I would kind of expect a security guard to get in and subdue that person. If it's just somebody who's messing around, you know, then maybe not push that issue. Randomness of hours, that's something we've talked about a lot in the neighborhood watch, and that would be something that we definitely need, would highly suggest gets discussed off camera as well. If they're able to do city code enforcement issues, and these are issues that in the last year plus that I've been coming to these meetings has always been a problem. Matt Matt's been doing a good job as of late, but I'm sure there's 100 other things he could be doing that somebody else, when they're roving around, could also be taken care of. And so take some of the burden off Matt. That's going to help things. And of course, all of this is balanced with how much is it going to cost and at what point and what level. I could probably come up with 100 other questions. In regards to this, my question would be is, have you ever worked with San Benito Sheriff before? What has that relationship been like, and how receptive have they been to your actions? And those would be the biggest things. And I can literally come up with, we could talk for hours on this. I could totally, I negotiated probably 3 or 4 different security guard. Down our states was 608 units, 2,500 people, 55 acres. It was, as far as condo units goes, it was one of the largest. I think it is the largest in Santa Clara County. So I mean, we had a lot of issues very similar to this town.
Bigger, larger.
Is there anybody else that
Majorly bigger than
like Chris? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Hi.
I thought Chris over there.
I'll make it quick.
Okay.
Less than 3 minutes. When I was hearing from all of the first alarm and everything, I'm also part of Neighborhood Watch. What I bring up every single time is the sheriff being present for the speeding. I live at 1108 3rd Street, right at the bottleneck. There's several people that go to the Neighborhood Watch that talk about the speeding on their street with just 4th Street. My biggest concern is that somebody is present, hopefully with a radar gun, because from what I can see, they're definitely doing more than the speed limit in town. I can't do anything about it other than stand there and politely ask them to slow down. My biggest thing with having an alarm company come in or a secondary is making sure that the sheriff understands we're bringing them in because we need you here. Sheriff's too big of an area for them to get here and to respond to our calls. 2 weeks ago, 3 low riding cars didn't even hesitate at the speed bump there at the bottleneck. One of them grounded out. He ran out the house going, slow down. The guy goes, do you even know what's going on? He goes, it doesn't matter, slow down. We get told F you all the time. I mean, it's a problem. And if the sheriff doesn't understand that, we as a town need to have some help. So cost, yes, we have to look at that, but that is a big issue. I'm sorry, that's one of my biggest issues.
Thank you. I think Chris wanted to speak.
Oh.
I know just
The carbon footprint of speaking tonight.
Go ahead.
Chris, 97 4th Street, Chris Margarana. I think this might be a good opportunity to form a citizen committee. There's probably a couple of resources right here that and up there in the Neighborhood Watch program that could take this on as a project because it sounds like there's a lot of questions and a lot of intricacies to this that need to be researched. So just a thought.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to address the council? Jolie, go ahead.
That might be something for the study session that we're going to do on the 3rd. If we can get any proposals that anyone in the audience might have for hours and times and types of patrols that you think would be best, the council would definitely take that under consideration, I think. And then the other thing is that point about the relationship with the sheriff's office. Do you have any current relationship with them? And if not, how would you go about working one out? Because it would be necessary, especially if you weren't doing the actual moving violations, but you were pointing out locations where and times where moving violations frequently occurred.
I actually do have a relationship with the sheriff's department. We watch, they take 5150s into Hazel Hawkins.
We watch them for them. When they were going to open up the county courthouse, who did they call? Us for security services so that they didn't have to use their deputies because they don't have enough staff. So they did call us, but they don't have the budget right now to do that. So we do have a relationship with them.
Good.
You know, Joel, hey, I just want to make one last comment. The night that I talked to Julie, the officer came down, and it was the night after one of the, Rasher burglaries, and 2 or 3 of the business owners came out around 9 o'clock and said, Andy, we heard on Facebook that you were going to do this. Thank you. What this is, don't lose perspective. It's just eyes and ears. I walk at night. I see stuff. Once in a while, I'll call the non-emergency. Hey, you got a car that drove up in the cemetery. Whatever. But it's just eyes and ears. So when we wake up, our car windows aren't bashed out. Or if they see somebody, they see a first alarm truck or security truck, they bolt. It's a deterrent is what it is, okay? Because you know what? You mentioned a relationship with the sheriff, and I like the sheriff. I don't know if we got a relationship, to be honest with you. I'm being honest. We're like on our own. If a crime goes down, they're going to come. But yeah, the speeding, you're going to have to work with the sheriff because private patrols aren't going to do it. But private patrol can do, you could probably do 4000A, which is expired registrations on cars, no front plates, cracked windshields. Hey, these people you're going to clear some of this stuff up, and the tickets will go right to the city manager. Because we don't have anybody to do that, but everybody's screaming to have somebody to do that. Well, this kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You know what I'm saying? And we get patrols, maybe on a Friday night, families out, that young security officer is out, walking downtown. God, you understand, one's got patrols. And I guess the best thing to do, Roger, is contact Steve Vogel from Santa Cruz PD. The chief, because they're all downtown and patrolling. And I know other towns are going this way. But it's a fix for us. I know there's questions, but hey, I walk at night. Hey, there's nobody in here, and you get a deputy once in a while. But I'm just looking at the security end of it. Hey, somebody's going to be running around. Oh, I see a first alarm truck. Hey, you know what? Maybe the guy will stumble across something. But I am totally for this project because I know that we're not going to get any help, additional help for a while, and I think it'll be great.
Along the lines that you're saying, sir, our security officers have had the opportunity to help the police department catch convicted felons of major crimes. When they put out the BOLs, be on the lookout, they share them with our officers, and our officers have actually spotted them just walking around. They see these guys, and they get, we caught the gal that burned down the half of the mountain for Passy Temple, the homeless gal. The
blonde gal that was on the news recently.
They were doing drugs, and she purposely lit the forest on fire, and it was one of our guards that actually spotted her, and they were able to arrest them. And there's several other arrests.
No, I think eyes and ears are great. Yeah. I'm not asking you, just asking you, observe and report. And then you know what? At least we know we have somebody running around. But is there any others?
I used to work security when I was in college, so it kind of relates back. And a lot of these, these are good. These are going to be good quality witnesses. These are going to be people that have been trained. They know what to look for. They've been questioned, before on incidences. They're going to have a pretty good viewing and outcome on that. They go through extensive training. There's tons of certifications, whether they're going through baton training, tear gas, all that stuff, all has to be certified. They have to be recertifying through that. It's going to be a really good, we're not going to cure crime, but we're going to reduce the percentage ratio of interest to arrest and lower, those parts of it. Public awareness, it's really good just to have, them walking around. It shows kind of a presence that, yes, we are, taking care of our territory around here. And I just think it's a really good program. We're just going to try to figure out how much we can budget for this.
Well, you all are a historical town, so you want to protect what you have.
Right.
So I understand.
Okay.
Our antiques are pretty valuable.
Why did you look fair?
He didn't notice till you said
Moving
something.
along.
Obviously.
Moving along.
I guess that's it then. You know what? We'll November 3rd we'll reconvene on this, and then
Let me know if I can do anything else
Yeah, and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I learned a lot on fracking too.
I'm glad that's over with.
I want to ask everybody to bring this
Yeah.
with them November 3rd, so we have this.
Okay. Let's go to 7A, report on subcommittee. And consider options.
Didn't we
for
have
the-
that's 6E, that's.
Yeah, we got two more and then we go to closed session.
Yeah.
So, Roger, this is the subcommittee, or Matt, or somebody?
We had another meeting and it was very productive. We went over a lot of options and we've seen now at the Monterey Diocese, they're somewhat very cooperative with utilizing the small field out there, or the open field, and it has to be directly related to their attendance to the mission. Just yesterday I went by there and there was 4 or 5 buses parked out there.
All right.
Rather than having them on the street here, they were there.
You know, Roger, I see him. The only thing I think the city should do, it'd probably have to be an action item, is, and I commend them, is to fix that sidewalk, because those big coaches that sit low, I watch them out my door, so if we can fix that for the church, and for, and hey, you did this, we'll do this.
Yeah, it's in here, I think.
Well, that's our side.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, they've been utilizing it.
You had a tail light out on that first alarm.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, any other?
No, I want to commend you for your meetings and for actually making
Yeah,
progress. It was with the diocese.
Buses over there.
We still have that
Right.
picture that we're still working on, and then once that goes out, I think we really want to get that not only to the church, but to the state park also.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of visitors there, and then we help out and make a contact with the bus owners.
Great.
Did you get permission to use their logo yet?
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're gonna have to do 2 separate ones, and it's gonna have to be a city one, not state park, because state
Yeah.
park in all their disarray right now would just be too much of a process to try
Yeah,
to
I
get
saw that
so, yeah.
in there. So it'll be a city brochure, but should be fun.
And I'll start working on that once I have a little bit more time. We've just had other projects that were a
Yeah.
little bit more higher priority.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on the park? Okay, any other comment? Okay, the last one, 7B, Community Choice Aggregation.
Aggregation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm half tired. Roger?
I don't know what to say about this, but just on the agenda, everybody wants to make comments.
Your microphone, please.
I think everybody's done.
I emailed the person who spoke before, and I never heard back. So if you want me to keep trying, I can keep trying to get that person. All right.
This is the power thing. The
Yeah, the
electricity,
community
yeah,
choice
the one I
aggregation,
asked
yeah.
about last
Yeah.
month. I wonder whatever happened to it.
Yeah, so I didn't hear back from that one.
Matt
but-
followed up on it. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Well,
And I could put together a report for you guys on what that is, but I'm not an official like this person was who presented to you before, so.
I read it as community aggregation or aggravation. Aggravation.
It was,
Is it along the same lines of funding energy type programs?
I think it's like
It's about
keeping
choosing where
the
your
dollars.
energy
Like
portfolio
St.
comes from.
Clair, the city of St. Clair, they buy the power and then they distribute it to their residents. And it's actually cheaper.
Oh, okay, it's where the city,
Then-
okay.
then you can get
Yeah, I
it from
remember the
PG&E.
presentation now, yeah.
But I don't care, I'm on solar. So.
Solar, no water,
Yes.
no garden.
Okay.
okay, I
Closed
guess
session.
we're going to go ahead and close the meeting and go to closed session.
Unless Mr.
Unless you want to speak, Chuck?
I'll take 1 minute.
Okay, go. I won't close the meeting.
Did you move my item to the end?
No.
Oh, we just
No,
went on through it.
we discussed it, but we can go back.
Oh, I learned a lot about fracking tonight.
Well, go ahead, Chuck. I mean,
I don't know what to say. Let's see. The Giants won.
Yay!
7-1. First game of the World Series. So
7-1's a good start.
not a whole lot to say. Just looking at the treasurer's report. It's in your binder. Things look good. Not talking about the particular numbers, but everything seems to look pretty good in our balance, in our cash flow balance, and our reserves doing really well. And everything else just looks fine. So there's no really big comment to make about the treasury report. Okay. And I guess you went over the warrants earlier?
Warrants, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Councilman.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I have one question, because I brought it up with Roger on the TOT tax, and I believe Roger said he was going to go over it with Wendy and you know, with the accountant, and I just wondered if you might have any input as far as making sure that we get the TOT tax that we are entitled to. I know Wendy has done a project before on it, and I think made some progress. And the company that is checking on all of our tax, do you think that they would have?
Well, I'm not sure. Roger, did you share that document on the percentage of our increase in our TOT?
No, I haven't shared that yet right now.
Okay. Basically, a document showing that our revenues have. I think what's going on is we see this decline in the county and increase in the city because the money is being allocated where it should be allocated, and that's a big plus. And I mentioned it to a couple council members at the last meeting, but it's significant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that the company we hired that
Yes.
brought that
Yes.
about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Very good.
More people are aware that they need to make sure it goes to us, and not, they think because they pay it, they don't really care where it goes because they paid it, and we're finding out that a lot of it may have been gone the wrong direction, and now it's been corrected. It's a significant amount of money.
Yeah. And the
Who's on you on
transient.
I think the TOT is a different animal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant transient. I don't know where I got TOT.
The TOT is a different animal in the sense is that how are we going to address who uses that room and how much they charge, and if the operator is using it to supplement a wedding and he's using it just for his guests and he's not charging it, then, you know, so there's got to be. Maybe we might have
If he's
to
doing
change
a
the
group
ordinance.
fee and just
it's
as a
kind of
facility.
incorporating it, and it's I know that Roger and the accountant has been looking. They've kind of informed me what's going on, and I think it's being corrected. Is that?
Well, we have to juggle. First of all, I want to do an audit with them, and then the second thing is if we have to, we'll change the ordinance and have a little bit more teeth, you know.
Yeah, the TOT is a little bit different than what I was making reference to the sales tax,
Yeah.
which is different. I just kind of went blank for a second, but that anyway, I know that's in the works, Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I threw you off because I mentioned the company that's looking
Yeah,
into
I
the
know.
sales
I was
tax,
kinda thinking-
and I wasn't sure if they had anything to do with this type of tax. I guess maybe not.
It's
That's
9:30.
different.
It's late.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then just, you know, the TOT is on the ballot November 4th. The county and the city of Hollister are voting for theirs to go up from 8 to 12%.
So it'll be
Ours is 12 already.
Yeah, so it'll be a level playing field for all the cities and the rest of the county.
Is it 12 or 13?
12.
12.
It is 12. Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to adjourn the closed session and